What is up, fight fans? And we are live. Yes, indeed, we are on MMA Weekly. It is UFC 260, and it's going down right now at the Apex in Vegas. I'm Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, and my partner, Jeff Cain. 18-plus years with MMA Weekly, Jeff, and they just keep getting bigger. They just keep getting better. This week, finally, Miocic versus Ngannou. 260 live on MMA Emporium, Fix CBD, Jeff. It's finally here. We've been talking about this fight for a long time, and Stipe and Francis going to get in there tonight. Can't wait, brother. What a big night for a big fight.
Yeah, pay-per-view, heavyweight title fight, big boys in the main event. Former welterweight champion in the co-main event, a bantamweight prospect heading into that bout. This is a great fight card, or a great main card fight card, or and after losing a big bout. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, we've been building up to this fight for 2 months, man. This is the 8th event in a row for the UFC.
And you know what we got to do next, Jeff. We got to throw it up there. You ready? Little drum roll. Roll call, chat room. Where you at tonight around the world watching us? We have got people. I've already see the Africans in the house. I love you guys. I love the way Francis was dressed at the press conference. I love how he represents and how proud he is to be African. It reminds me of Hakeem Olajuwon, for example. It's such a really cool thing for him, and to be so proud of his heritage. And he is, obviously, from his heritage from Africa. And then you have Usman, who's going to be in his corner tonight. You just got to, it's just beautiful, man. Francis he does everything right, Jeff. He's a great kid. And I say kid, he's 35, he's younger than me, but he does everything the right way. He is a humble, really just divinely blessed man. I mean, his blessings have been just enormous over the past few years. The enormity of the situation is not lost on him. He was living in the street not that long ago, and now he is for a second time fighting for a UFC title. But Jeff, when I look at Francis Ngannou, man, everyone, of course, is going to talk about the finishes, and that's the first thing you have to say when you talk about Francis Ngannou. But the second thing you'll say is what a nice guy he is, how soft-spoken. It's one thing to be tough. It's one thing to be one of the baddest dudes on the planet, but to also be that marketable, that cool, that humble. I almost said humble. Humble would be a new word. That humble. Can you believe I almost said humble? It's going to be a long night. But what I mean is, it's very rare when you have two guys who talk the talk and walk the walk, who are both such nice guys. They're both such nice guys, and it really strikes me coming into this fight.
Yeah, fortunately for Francis, though, because we see a lot of guys kind of take that Conor McGregor approach where, you got to talk as much smack to build as much hype to sell a fight. Francis is fortunate enough to where his highlight reel sells his fights. He doesn't necessarily have to talk any smack or play that type of game. He can just be himself up there and just keep knocking people out inside the octagon, and he's going to be marketable. But yeah, as you brought up, he's a nice guy.
Knockouts are marketable,
very well spoken. Yeah, knockouts are very marketable, but so he has that going for him, but he also has all the other things that you mentioned going for him. He's a nice guy. He represents his culture. He represents the UFC well. He represents the brands well. And so, yeah, man, Francis is an asset to the sport. Tonight, we're going to see if he can make the changes he needed from the last time these two fought.
I was waiting how long it would take. It only took about 10 shows for someone to say Uranus when I do a roll call. I'm surprised. That should have happened in show 1. Good job, Joe Blow, too. But I'll tell you what, man, very excited, man, for this fight, Jeff. And I know that, it takes a little bit of it away as Jamie Malarkey makes his way to the octagon right now. It takes a little bit of it away for me to not have T-City and Volko in that co-main. I was really, really looking forward to that fight. And I promise you guys, the last time I'm going to whine about it tonight. I'm not going to whine about it again, because we do have some really good fights. And thankfully, Jeff, we made it to fight night. Thankfully, all the prelims ended up happening because we had a 10-fight card on fight day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable, right? A 10-fight card on fight day.
Yeah, I mean, everything changes so fast now.
And it's not a UFC on Fox.
I mean, we've lost so many fights on weigh-in day that you and I talked about this earlier in the week that, man, they've got 10 fights on this card. We've been losing 1 or 2 fights between the weigh-ins and fight night for a few of these events during this 8-event run. And we weren't sure if they were going to have all 10 fights intact. Glad they are. The main card looks great. Look on that preliminary card, Minifield got a Von flu choke, Jim. I mean, you don't see that every day. Yeah, it's something you definitely don't see every day. So that was worth the preliminary card for me alone.
I'll tell you what, the preliminary cards were pretty good. Some of those fights were good. And Abubakar and Nurmagomedov, of course, bringing attention to the card, being Khabib's cousin. And that was the one directive we got tonight, to say the name right. It's Nurmagomedov. I mean, how could you not? You have to say that. It's a joke. But, of course, you say that. And, man, that background looks good with that UFC 260 up there. And, being that we're finally here, Jeff Cain, man, it seems like it's been forever. But when I look at this, and, you had 3 decisions on the prelims, which was good because they were going to start throwing janitors in there to start fighting in between. We used to do that, man. We used to run MMA shows. We used to run, local and regional shows. Are we going to the press room here? That camera needs to be there. We go. We're going to the press room, and we are going
Congratulations on the win. You're obviously the 4th fighter in history to
NFL. Here he is.
But you're also now the fastest to pull off the choke. You passed Ovince St. Preux for the fastest Von Flue choke in promotion history. So what are your initial thoughts after a performance like that?
Oh man, I'm happy. Yeah, just super happy and relieved about that Von Flue. So yeah, you're welcome.
Do they have to rename it to the OSP?
Yeah, OSP and OSP. But yeah, I basically studied that guy and I got that OSP choke. I think I got it down.
How far back have you been studying that, or is this something relatively new that you wanted to try out in this specific fight?
I mean, I've been trying it since I started MMA 2007-ish in training, grappling. But yeah, at Fortis, I pretty much worked on that with Ramiz. Yeah, I was able to do that. And we worked on a lot of submissions, and that one came up first, and I got that one, so yeah.
Were you surprised Fabio was kind of holding on to the guillotine when you went down?
Yeah, I was surprised, but when he hit the ground, I said, it's too late, can't pull the arm out. We drive, it felt like he had a t-shirt on. Sure. So yeah, it was, that was it.
Then obviously, quick fight, you didn't take any damage. When do you want to get back in there, and if so, is there any specific name you want to face in there?
As soon as possible, and whoever they put in front of me, let's go. Right on.
Alonzo, right down here.
What's up?
Your post-fight interview obviously got a lot of attention. Have you heard from any family yet specifically about that?
No, not at all. I didn't get my phone, so I don't know what's going on.
What do you imagine Mom is gonna say?
My mom, I love you, Mom. And as far as that, yeah, my wife has loved you more than what you've shown me. I appreciate that you raised me and fed me, but at a time, my mom, sad to say, but she wasn't in my life. She should have been there, and she wasn't. My wife should have left me, and she said, you know what, I'm gonna stick it out, love this man, and she did, and that's why I'm right for her, so that's why I give her praise.
To talk about it a little bit again, just with that choke, I mean, when you go to it, do you specifically watch OSP and then work with your coaches and say, how do I do this? What's exactly the process?
Oh man, so I'm a good visual learner. I pretty much watch YouTube or UFC, Fight Pass, ESPN, whatever it is, and I go and I duplicate that. Yeah, I go to Fortis and we talk, and me and Ramiz and whoever, we work on whatever we can work on. I also tried to do, or was working on, a butt naked choke called Snoop Dogg, and I was looking to get that one, and I didn't, but this OSP choke came up, so yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Tell you about the what?
The other choke?
Oh, the Von Flue, it was there.
No, the one before.
Oh, butt naked choke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the butt naked choke is behind rear naked choke, so you get behind the butt, and you choke. No homo, all homo, whatever.
We know that you obviously had a short notice replacement. Just what are you most proud of with your performance and how you handled all the changes this fight week?
You said as far as what I'm happy with, I'm happy with the result. I pretty much train, and that's all I do. This is my job. So I'm happy with me believing in myself, never giving up, taking no days off. And just going out there and performing. And yeah, there it is.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Alonzo, you talked about it in the post-fight about it being an emotional ride. Can you talk a little bit about what that emotional ride was? Was it the fact of just getting up for these fights and then putting so much effort and then it didn't pan out your way? And now you have this immediate high. But can you tell us a little bit about what part of the emotional ride that was?
Well, given the nature, I had surgery 2019, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready. And COVID happened, shut down everything. So that kind of sheltered me in a way where it wasn't good. And I dropped the ball all of 2020 here at the Apex. And so, I got that on my shoulder, and I got a family. And it's me. I'm the guy who's providing for them. So with that, man, I felt a lot on my shoulders. But, I come from the dirt. So me, I just basically put it on my shoulder, develop bigger legs to hold it, train, and just pretty much, thought about what it is that I need to do. And yeah, I came out here and I performed. And that's why I was like, screaming at the end. Because, it is an emotional ride, as far as for me. Because it's up and down, it's like, just down. But yeah, I'm happy with the win. And security, I know that's there. And, I like to have that bonus. And yeah, that'll help.
And I love that you gave praise to your woman as well. What are some of the things that she and that your team said to you after those last couple fights that kind of kept you going and got you really motivated to make sure that you got the win this time?
Well, after me dropping the ball, my wife was always there. My last fight, I dropped it. She surprised me with my brother, who's been away for a long time. And I used to carry this guy all the time when I was going to college, trying to show him a different life. And it kind of broke my heart when he went in. So with him surprising me, she did that. Thank you. And Fortis, man, Coach Safe. I know he got other fighters or whatnot, and I feel like he didn't give up on me, and he still worked on me and helped me out. Whenever he has opportunity, because he is a busy man. And just the whole team, man. Kennedy, Ryan, Uriah, Hall, just Zumar, man, you just a tough mofo. Clint, everyone at the Fortis team, man. If I'm forgetting you, man, I'm sorry, but you guys are all extraordinary, and they basically helped me, and I thank them.
Looking forward to the rest of 2021. What sort of goals are you setting for yourself, career-wise, and maybe even just outside of fighting?
Goals, man. I'm try to go undefeated for this year. Just think about winning. So that's on my mind. And outside, I like to establish some things for my family. So I can only do that through fighting, and that's all I want to do. Well, who knows? I may go and start some other careers, but we'll see. I don't know.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
In the back here, even though it seems like you had a couple of starts and stops and opponents switched up, do you feel like just the time to focus on the fighting really helped you in the end instead of being a problem?
Yeah, focusing on the fight, and that's just the fight in general. So in that aspect, it didn't matter who it was. I made the adjustment based on his style, and if that would have been someone else, I would have did the same thing, because in this game, it's unpredictable. So he's a southpaw versus an orthodox, and I made the adjustment. Instead of going right, I went left. Just change it up. So I made the adjustment, and that's what we do as fighters. We basically just grab the horns and go. So it is what it is.
You had an early night. Are you looking to get on that Texas card in May?
Woo! Yes. To get there, in front of the crowds, I would love to put on a show for them.
Thank you.
Thank you. All good? All right,
there we go with Alonzo Menifield. Good job on the podium. Getting a little dicey a couple times with him. A couple of those comments, we got to watch him a little bit. A couple of PR people getting nervous. Jeff, as he's, I with that whole mom thing for a minute there, I'm like, oh, somebody save him. Then he said no homo, and I'm going, whoa, dude, be careful. You never know. I mean, this day and age, anything anybody says at any time, Jeff, I find myself listening to these, press conferences and just hoping that nobody says anything they're going to regret. And you got a whole bunch of stuff going on in the world of sports right now, and you got the UFC coming back. How fast can that show possibly sell out in Florida? Holy crap, Jeff, and we didn't even talk about that yet. That one in Jacksonville coming up in April it's sold out in 5 minutes? and then they got one in Texas coming too. I mean, it's just unbelievable, man. The UFC's on fire, and it's set. It already set records for a gate for that size.
Yeah, I mean that's I'd imagine they're going to set some gate records here in a few of these events. They usually do when they go to these arenas, especially because the octagon's not all that big compared to a concert stage or a sporting floor, and so they get that going for them. But yeah, man, Minifield, that was a big win. I mean, he talked about how he dropped the ball in 2020. He ended 2019 with that big knockout win over Paul Craig, and he was riding high, undefeated, and then he suffered those two losses, and so that was a big win for him tonight, man, and clearly emotional. Clearly loves his wife. She's stuck by him all this time. And so, yeah, man, I mean, the UFC's pretty lenient about what you say as long as it's not just completely outrageous, so I don't think he got in trouble with the organization there, but yeah, but I mean, as far as generating sponsors, sponsorship interest in things, yeah, man, you've got to you got to walk a tighter tightrope than you used to have to, for sure.
Oh yeah, well you can't even say much anymore. And I mean, you look at the stuff. Look at the stuff that's going on in sports right now and how it's affecting everything. With I mean, look at Deshaun Watson and the way that could play out. Hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, and it's just a different world. I mean, athletes can really control their own message a lot more now with social media. And then you get in those live press conference situations. But good job by Menifield. Really good win. Just happy, Jeff, to see him get a fight, man. It was just happy to see him be able to get into the octagon because almost until the very end, it was just up in the air. So it's good to see him get in there. That fight was not going to be a given tonight.
Yeah, I mean, anytime a fighter trains a full training camp, it sucks for them not to get the fight in. But in the COVID era, we've been seeing that more and more and more. And they try to get late replacements in there. But man, sometimes that's not the most ideal situation for a fighter who's trained specifically for, say, a differing style or a differing body type, and so we're in a strange time right now. But yeah, it's good to see him get that win. It's good to see him get that fight in there tonight. And with the way the fights have gone before him, he might be in there for a bonus. But then Malarkey comes in there to kick off that, in his fight and says, maybe I want a bonus.
No, and you can't do any better as a fighter for Menifield to get in there against a guy like Fabio Chiron. He gets in there tonight. He gets 20% of his purse because the guy shows up 1.5 pounds overweight, or really a 1/2 pound overweight. It's not a title fight, but he shows up overweight. He gets 20% of the purse. He submits him in 1 minute and 11 seconds. I mean, a good night of work for Menifield. I mean, that's what you want. First things first, you want the win. Second thing, because you want that win bonus. Second thing is you want some sort of performance bonus. But third, they're up there yet again sooner because you can only fight so many times in a year anyway as a fighter. So, a lot of these guys out there, they want to be the Cowboy Cerrones and they just want to keep going and going. And, it's good for Menifield because he gets the win. He may have picked himself up a post-fight bonus, and then he goes ahead and stays healthy and can get back in there again soon. So good job by him all the way across the board.
Yeah, I mean, that's the perfect night right there. It's the absolute perfect night. And like you said, he can step in there on relatively short notice or fall on one of these building fight cards that we have going all the way through the summer. But while he was on at the podium talking, Jim, we got a 46-second knockout.
46 seconds, man. Talking about, I mean, Kama Worthy was not looking all that worthy for Jamie Malarkey tonight. I like Malarkey, though, Jeff. I've liked Malarkey for a long time.
Yeah, look, he clipped him with a looping left hand. He caught Kama backing straight up with his hands down, right? That's the big no-no in any combat sport. Well, that's what happened. And he just got clipped with a huge left hand, follow-up strikes on the ground. Good performance for Malarkey, though. On this pay-per-view, though we've talked about this for the last 2 months, guys getting opportunities. And, and that's an opportunity. And he scores a 46-second knockout and probably a $50,000 bonus check.
Yeah, and he hasn't had much of an opportunity to do anything in the octagon, but so it's good to see him get back in there. But I like his style. I think I watched him fight on I think he was on the Whitaker Adesanya card, if I'm not mistaken, and that was a while back. But he fought Brad Riddell, and I was impressed. He lost the fight, but I was impressed by him in the fight. I think that's who I'm thinking of.
It was UFC 243, and he lost by unanimous decision.
It's a quick, but he looked good against Riddell.
Yeah, and that's another fighter who just snapped a 2-fight losing streak, and so that's big for him as well. Anytime you can snap a losing streak, that's a good thing. And I'm getting the word we need to. Hey, you guys are tuning in. We're live. Jim and I are doing our thing. Subscribe, like Bell, all kinds of stuff going on
There
down
you
there.
go.
Interesting thing.
I didn't know what was going
Interesting
on. We got everything coming at us tonight. We got our guy on location. It looks great. It sounds great out there in Vegas. It's the big pay-per-view fight event that everybody's been waiting for. Even I said I'm not going to whine about it. I'm not going to say anymore which fight's not on the card. But I love that Woodley and Luque, because Luque and Woodley's a co-main anyway, Jeff. Let's be real. On a big pay-per-view, Woodley and Luque is the co-main anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, for this fight, yeah. I mean, unless you got higher ranked guys in heavier weight classes, they usually put the heavier weight classes up there if they're on the fight card. But look, that's a fine co-main event. I mean, that's a former champion who's lost only to the top of the division, and he's going in there against Luque, who's only lost to really tough guys. You know, and so it's a great fight, man. I expect it to be a good fight. I'm interested to see how Woodley looks facing someone who's not in the top 1, 2, or 3, or the champion.
Yeah, and I wonder, too, what's going to happen. We got so many questions to be answered on this fight card tonight. I mean, right now, Jeff, think about this. Think about this fight coming up, and I want to read some of the chat stuff in a minute. It's UFC 260 live on MMA Weekly, Grieshaber and Cain, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD, 3 levels for 3 levels of pain. Excited to announce that they've renewed. They're going to continue sponsoring our shows, and Jeff can continue to say, stay in the fight at the end of every show. Stay in the fight is the slogan. It's the mantra. It's the tagline, but it's so much more, guys. It's exactly what Stipe is hoping to carry Francis into those deep waters a little bit tonight and keep him in that fight. But it's 3 levels for 3 levels of pain. It helps with anxiety. It helps with sleep and all sorts of things like that. And I've been taking it for a while. At 49, I feel great, never better. And we are doing big things with MMA Weekly. So many shows and all this content all the time. I've got the kids. I'm working out. I mean, it is just unbelievable stuff. So go to stayinthefightmma.com. Get your hookup today. 50% off. Stayinthefightmma.com. Enter the code MMA50 for Level Select CBD from CBD Emporium. Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight. And Jeff, we got a girl fight. We got a girl fight. I'm always excited. And look, I like whenever Jillian Robertson gets in there, I've always been a fan of hers. And Miranda Maverick's a good fighter, too. So these two flyweights are definitely, you know, they're going to give us our money's worth, especially us because we didn't pay for the fights. But we're going to get our money's worth.
Yeah, the women always bring it, man. I've always said that. The women, they always bring a I mean, I can't even think of a boring women's fight, to be honest with you. I'm sure people are going to throw it up in the chat. Well, they were boring, and that's why I forgot about them. But they're far and few between.
Well, no, there've been a couple. Like the Amanda Valentina fights have not been the best fights, especially the second one. Right?
Well, it depends. No, I thought they were fine. Valentina was landing on the feet, and then Amanda would take her down, and Valentina would be active. I thought those fights were fine. I mean, we haven't seen any. I mean, I'm sure that somebody's going to throw one out there, you know. But I just can't. I can't remember one right offhand that was just like terrible. Where I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't. You know, I didn't have to pay for that, or I'm glad we'd never have to see a rematch here.
No.
But this is a meaningful fight, man. You know, Robertson is ranked 15. She's coming off of a loss.
Yep, 15.
And then Miranda's on a 4-fight win streak. You know, if she wins this, she's in the rankings. So this is a big fight in that division and a big opportunity for the up and comer.
Big opportunity for the up-and-comer, and that's one thing I'm always looking at on these fight cards, man. And I have to read this, Jeff, and I wanted to get to the chat room anyway, so let's dive in the chat room if we can, Jeff, for a couple of minutes here. Joe Blow 2 says, O'Malley is going to get kicked in the leg and lose again. He's no champ. A champ takes responsibility for his loss so he can make sure it never happens again, like GSP. I like that comment. You and I talked about O'Malley in the pre-show. So O'Malley... Here's the thing about O'Malley, man. He's as tough as they come. He's a great striker, and the girl fight is underway. We'll keep you posted. But, you know, you got to stay durable. You got to stay healthy. I mean, look, you have Cain Velasquez, greatest heavyweight of all time, would be right there in the conversation. But because of his health issues, he's not there. He's still on that Mount Rushmore that everybody's talking about. But he's not even in the conversation with Stipe because of the fact that Stipe has been that much more durable. Because you can't just be, you know, a great player or a great fighter or a great athlete. You have to have durability. You have to have longevity. Now, people say, would you rather have Terrell Davis or Emmett Smith? Well, I mean, look, those are two extremes. But when I think about the reason why Sean O'Malley is not being included in some of these, you know, conversations about who the top guys are, why he might not even be ranked, is because he's got to show that fight in and fight out, he can be durable and he can show up. He won his last fight against Sukum Tath when he hurt his foot. People forget he won that fight on one foot. You don't get any more gangster than that. But that last time I caught up with him and that fight against Chito, he's clearly a great fighter, Jeff. Sean O'Malley is clearly a championship level fighter. If not championship level, right there below it or right there at it. But durability is a big question now in his young career, and he's got to come out. And I said it earlier, man, he's got to come out tonight and smash Thomas Almeida. He has got to come out tonight and make a huge impact performance and send a statement, send a message. He should be in the rankings.
I mean, he's got to beat somebody. You know, he has that one really impressive knockout, but he's got to beat people. He's got to beat people who have a good resume, you know, and so that's why he's not there right now, and he won't be after tonight, no matter what happens. But
no matter what happens, yeah, you're right.
But he needs to have a good performance tonight. Now, look, I agree that O'Malley's a dynamic fighter, man. I mean, he's not like everybody. He's not like the average fighter you see walk in there, man. He brings things to the table that you just don't see every day. He is tough. He's accurate with his striking. He's got deceptive power, you know, that you wouldn't think by looking at his frame that he actually possesses. And then he puts himself out there too, as well. And so he gets the criticism. I always like, if people put themselves out there, man, I always tell people that the view's not very good down over by the trunk. Get out on that limb for a minute, man. Check out the view. Sean O'Malley gets out on that limb. And so you got to respect him for that. I think he's good for the sport.
Yeah,
I think that's why the UFC's pushing him. And I think that he's got a lot of fan base. As far as the comment goes, look, I think that's how O'Malley justifies it in his head. It's just hard. It's his first loss. He's like, look, I was a better fighter. I was winning that fight. I got injured. That's why I lost. I don't even consider myself, I still consider myself undefeated. I think he's talking to himself when he says that more than everybody else, if that makes sense.
Robertson's got to watch herself on level changes, and I agree with you, Jeff. And Sean O'Malley's, look, he's coming up in an era where everybody knows how to do everything, including talk, including sell fights, including make money. He wants to have the best possible career he can. And, you're looking at the difference in size between those two. Our camera's right there for everything with MMA Weekly. O'Malley's going to have a size advantage on most of the guys in his weight class. He's going to have a reach. He's going to have an advantage in the striking. And as the girl fight goes to the ground with Miranda Maverick in top position over Jillian Robertson, but the size difference is pretty intense there. Look, the only thing when time passes, Jeff, that's the only thing that'll fix anything. That last loss for O'Malley sucked. He's had that loss on his mind every minute. Trust me, every minute of every day, just about. He's had that loss on his mind to Chito Vera, and that was August, man. I was there for that fight. I was at the Apex, and everyone and the fight was going his way. The fight was going his way early on. He clearly was winning that round, but he's got to come out tonight and he's got to smash Almeida. Let's go back in the chat. Do we think Connor's returning? Shane David wants to know. Connor's definitely going to return. He's going to fight Poirier. It's going to happen this year. There's some posturing going back and forth, but it's going to happen. And, Connor, that's a random Connor question you're going to get in there. Shane also, we don't know who will win this fight. They're both amazing champions, and this is a serious fight that can go both ways. I'm a fan of both. Well, Francis isn't a champion. Either way, I'm excited for definitely wanted to see Vega has gotten in that time off. We're going to see that fight soon enough. The featherweight championship fight. But this fight, if this were the only fight on the card, Jeff, I mean, if this were a boxing card and no one cared about any of the other fights on the card, Stipe and Francis is enough to make the whole world watch.
Yeah, look, it's a heavyweight title fight. The biggest fights in history are heavyweight title fights, man. That's the big boys. It just takes one shot, so you're on the edge of your feet, no matter how the fight's going. It doesn't matter. Like with the Overeem fight where he lost with like 4 seconds left to go, he was winning that fight all the way through against Rosenstrike, wasn't it? Yep. And then he got the uppercut from hell and just split his lip wide open. You could drive a semi between the gap. And he lost that way. I mean, that's why people like the heavyweight division. It's crazy all the way up until the last second, and we've seen those late knockouts. Particularly, we've seen them in other divisions, Pete Sell and Scott Hands of Stone Smith. And then, that fight or Pat Barry and Chet Congo, that was a heavyweight fight though. So in the heavyweight division, you see that kind of craziness happen more than the other ones. But yeah, man, I love the heavyweight fight.
Not as much as like when you saw Yair and Zombie. Sorry, Jeff. When Yair and Zombie did it being featherweights. Yeah, oh, man. Always with a heavyweight fight. You never know either. I mean, what was the fight? And it happens instantly. There were a couple of Overeem fights early in his UFC career that he had won, and he ended up losing. I think Bigfoot Silva and maybe Travis Brown. The momentum just swings so fast with one shot in these fights. And that's the thing about the heavyweights. And that's what everybody's talking about going into this one. Stipe's got to avoid the power of Francis. Look, You're not going to avoid Francis. The guy's 260 pounds. You're in a tiny cage, and he runs at you. You're not going to avoid him. You have to take the angles. You have to do the level changes. You have to make him miss. And to me, Jeff, that's what Stipe did so well in the first fight. Everybody talks about his takedowns, okay? I mean, literally everybody is talking about his takedowns. And they were great in that first fight. He had 6 takedowns in the first fight, which clearly won him the fight. But the other thing that I really was impressed with Stipe, and I actually took a screenshot of this because the number really stood out to me that much. 18% of Francis's significant strikes landed in that fight. That's why Stipe won. Stipe's defense in that fight was incredible. And he actually nailed Francis a couple of times himself, and he did get hit a couple of times. But his ability to avoid those significant strikes and turn those big shots into glancing blows that really don't have much of an effect, that is one of the biggest things that has made Stipe Miocic the greatest heavyweight champion in UFC history. That's one of his greatest strengths, is not getting hit. Go back through Stipe's fights, Jeff. Where did he really take a lot of damage in any one fight? He hasn't. Very, very rarely in his career.
Yeah, but there's a variable that's different this time. They're in that smaller cage. Now, that can help Stipe in getting takedowns, but it can also hurt Stipe, and he's not going to be able to move like he did 4 years ago when these guys first fought.
But it's
he
not
just can't. There's
that
not enough room.
much. It's not that big of a cage difference, though.
Yeah,
it's pretty big. It's 5 feet all around. I know that, but it's not like they're just throwing him into a chicken coop here.
Yeah, but it's 5 times. It's 40 feet. It's 5 times 4. Or
and
8,
he fought
rather,
DC in the same cage.
sides.
Right, you're right. No, you're right. And
DC,
and he fought DC in that cage.
Yeah, but DC does not pose the threats that Francis does. But yeah, look, Stipe does good. I'm just saying that's a different variable.
DC.
It can, yeah. I mean, the small cage could play in Stipe's favor because Francis isn't going to be able to ward off he can put more pressure on Francis as far as the takedowns go. Where it could hurt him is, it's at 5 feet less of an octagon everywhere that he might want to escape to get away from that. Because Francis, sometimes will just explode forward with a flurry, right? You got to have room to get the hell out of it.
That's his freaking forearm, dude. 5 feet is Francis's forearm.
Yeah. So look, I don't know that the cage is going to come into play at all. It's definitely something to note, to keep in your mind. Stipe come in a little lighter this time, which makes me think maybe he's going to try a different strategy, sticking and moving, that like Rose Namajunas style. Just keep Francis at the end of your punches and don't ever let him get inside. And as soon as Francis gets frustrated and tries to close the distance, change levels, put him on his back. I don't know what to make about him being lighter this time than he was the first time. Maybe he's in better shape. Maybe it's a different diet. I'm not sure. But I think it's probably he wants to have a clear speed advantage.
Oh, and Stipe's so good there too. But the thing about Stipe that really impresses me on this title run, his counterpunching is so defense. And look, it was percent of Stipe's significant strikes land. 73% in that fight. He outstruck him. Was it 70-21? And Ngannou only landed 6 after round 1. And we know this, right? But Stipe completely controlled that fight after. In fact, I remember being amazed that night, Jeff, that it even went the distance. I remember being amazed that Stipe wasn't able to take him down and finish him in around the third round, about like the minute 30 mark of round 2 all the way through. Francis was gassed. Every round he was gassed, and Stipe could have finished him. And I was surprised that and Francis showed me a lot in that loss. He didn't land a lot of shots. He didn't look like, but he showed a lot of heart and a lot of toughness to make it that full 5 in that fight. I didn't think he was gonna.
Yeah, Francis took him the distance, and that's and not a lot of people do that, and so he's got that. Like I said, the things Francis has going for him is now he knows what it's like to be in a title fight. That's huge because title fights are different media commitments. It's a different distractions that come with that, different pressure, different paydays, different expectations. Everything's different in a title fight. Well, he's experienced that. He knows what it's like to be in there with Stipe. He's felt Stipe's power. He's felt Stipe's speed and his strength. So all of those things benefit Francis heading into this fight. He knows all those things. But also Stipe has the same experience. He's eaten one of Francis's biggest shots. It's like,
and Stipe's not a big heavyweight anyway. Right, he has, and Stipe's not a huge heavyweight anyway. He's 25 pounds lighter than Francis. He's gonna be relying on his agility. You know, you definitely talked about Francis and how Francis wants to be faster, and he's super strong. Stipe is too. But when I look at this fight, man, and I start to think of all the different things that could happen, and again, it's a rematch. All the things that can happen, and everybody wants to see that big knockout early, and everyone talks about if Francis wins, it's by knockout early. If Stipe wins, it's going longer. Stipe can turn those lights out pretty damn fast too. In case you forgot about the champ, and I mean, literally one of the greatest of all time, Stipe's got a lot of big-time finishes in his career. He's got 15 knockouts, man. He's got 15 knockouts, and he's knocked out some of the biggest names in the history of this sport. He's knocked out Daniel Cormier. He's knocked out Junior Dos Santos, a former champ. He's knocked out Alistair Overeem. He's knocked out a former champ in Fabricio Verdum, another former champ in Andrei Arlovsky. He's one of the very few guys who has actually TKO'd Mark Hunt. I mean, there's a lot of power in Stipe's punches, too.
Yeah, Stipe has power for sure. And so does Francis. Look, I think that either one of these guys can knock each other out in any of the rounds. You know, particularly Francis. You know, I mean, power, you know, your speed might go away, but Francis's punching power is not going to go away. It's just his likelihood of landing something late goes away because he's going to slow down, but the power's still there. And then Stipe,
You still hold your breath.
Yeah, exactly. And same with Stipe.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that I would say if it. Yeah, I mean, if it ends early, you're going to think Francis probably landed a big bomb. If it ends late, you're going to think that Stipe, you know, outworked him, you know, out techniqued him and just beat him in a technical fight. But I think this is gonna. I think this gets outside of the first round. I think we're going to see this fight end in the second or third. But I picked Stipe to win, Jim. But you know that I don't have confidence in that pick now. You know now that we're on fight night, and I keep seeing these damn highlights of Ngannou knocking everybody's head off. I'm like, man.
Oh my God! I think I'm picking Stipe. I see that every time, Jeff. And I start seeing heads getting. My friend used to say, "Your head's gonna get flown." I see heads getting flown everywhere with Francis, and you know, I look at it. This fight right now is pretty entertaining. By the way, Miranda Maverick and Jillian Robertson. Robertson had her on the ground in round 2. They're in round 3 now. Maverick has Robertson's back, and she's got the body triangle locked in, looking for a choke out here in the middle of the octagon. And then right after this one comes Sean O'Malley, and here we come.
Yeah, but Miranda Maverick is only 23 years old. You know, this is a big prospect. This is a girl fighting on a huge stage at a very young age, and she's fighting a veteran and a ranked fighter. And right now, doing pretty damn well with it, you know.
An American top team fighter too, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I mean they produce so
nice
many
elbows
people,
from
man.
Maverick from the top, though. Yeah, they do, and just the quality of training partners that you end up working with at a place like that, amazing.
Yeah. That my only concern about training at a place like that would be, can I get the attention I need? Because there's so many pro fighters, but that hasn't been a problem. They do a good job about that down there. But you know. I remember when there weren't these super camps, you know, and kind of American Top Team was that first super camp, you know, of all these guys in one place.
Yeah,
and Miocic
because it was a thing where you wanted to be the camp, right?
Yeah, but there were all these smaller.
You wanted
camps,
to be like you wanted it to be all about you as a camp. You didn't want all these other stars around you. You wanted that was your camp.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. The camp usually had 1 or 2 pro fighters. I mean, the Lions Den had Guy Mesger and Ken and Frank Shamrock, you know, and then you had other camps. But there wasn't that super camp, that enormous camp, that Jackson Winklejohns, that the GSP camp in Canada. There just wasn't that huge for all. There just wasn't those huge camp. Yeah, and so American Top Team was like that first to do that, and there's so many black belts and so many different disciplines. Hell, Robbie Lawler went down there. I mean, that's a Miocic guy who went down there and then won a title under them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not kidding. And it's been unbelievable to see the run they've gone on and the fighters. I mean, Amanda Nunes trains there now, and so does Joanna Jacek. And yeah, I mean, people from all over the world going there and training there now. And we're awaiting another fighter at the podium. And when the fighters come up, we'll put them up there. And our guys on site, they're right. I mean, we want to keep these press conferences going as long as we can, let you hear from as many of the fighters for as long as we can. We're going to keep it here all night. Jeff and I will, after the main event, we'll sign off, and you guys will see the press conference in its entirety. You won't have to do any extra clicking or anything like that. And for God's sake, subscribe, hit that like button, hit the chat, comment, tell us we're ugly, tell us we're old. We know these things already, but we love you, and we're having a great time here. Jeff, it's UFC 260, live on MMA Weekly, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. Jim Grieshaber is my name, in case you can't read. Jeff Cain's his, in case you can't read either, on the other side. But you know, we're getting closer and closer to the Stipe and Ngannou fight. Love the rematches, love the heavyweights. I mean, you see a lot more rematches in trilogy style fights, Jeff, as we look at Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight. MMA.com is the page, and the MMA 50 is the code to get 50% off. But when I look at the heavyweight division, you see a lot more rematches, a lot more trilogies, things like that. Obviously, because there just aren't that depth isn't always there. But the heavyweight division is loaded right now. It was kind of thin and a little bit leaned out. And we talked about how, you know, Stipe and DC were kind of, you know, like keeping the division in a logjam at the top for a while. But there weren't a lot of other fighters who were worthy of being up there at the top. And one thing that we've seen in this recent run, and we talked about it with, you know, Cyril Gahn, the Overeem Volkov fight, the Cyril Gahn fight against Rosenstruik, and then Blades against Lewis. If anything, these past few weeks, these last couple of months have made me realize the difference that there really is at the top. The gap between the greatest heavyweights in the world and that next level down is real. And it's more real in that division than just about any other division you're going to find.
Yeah, and you see that throughout divisions, man, where there's like 3 guys at the top that are clearly a whole level ahead of 4, you know, and down. Mm-hmm. And so they always, and there's kind of this, you know, fights, these rematches and trilogies, like you're mentioning. But yeah, the heavyweight division, you see it a lot. I think because it's so hard to put together a win streak. You know, it's so hard. I mean, you know, so you win tonight, and what's Francis get if he wins tonight? John Jones? You know, it's just so hard to put together a win streak in that division. You know, and that's what makes Stipe, what Stipe's been able to do, his first reign and then in the second title reign, so impressive is this. I mean, he's the greatest heavyweight of all time because he's actually been able to hang on to it. No one's been able to hang on to it. Not Randy Couture, not, you know, any of them, man. I could try to Tim Sylvia, Andre Arlovsky, all these guys. None of them have been able to hang on to the title. Kane, you know, Junior Dos Santos. I mean, none of these guys have been able to hang on to it. And then here comes Stipe. He's different. You know, he's different.
Here comes Stipe, man.
Yeah, we're gonna see
we're gonna
see if the law of averages catches up with Stipe tonight, or if he can continue to defy him in the heavyweight division.
Hey, 1, 2, 3 to 9, real quick in the chat. Everyone's messing with him, telling him that Stipe already won the fight. Stipe made him tap. No, the fight didn't start yet, man. He's having real trouble with the time difference. And no, the main event is probably about an hour away.
Nice.
And let's see what we got here. We got let's see. I want to hear this real quick. Jeff, I don't know if I can. I don't even know where I put my remote, but I know that that Miranda Maverick had to have won this fight.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it that close.
I would Francis from.
Yeah, the first time around.
Sorry, yeah. For those behind your head on the screen, Stipe and Francis from the stare downs and everything, and the pose downs. But we got Robertson and Maverick. It looks like Bruce is taking a long time to read the scores. Yeah, Robertson was clapping. She got beat up pretty good. I mean, Miranda Maverick put a beating on Jillian Robertson. There's a lot of marks on that face, black eyes. Like that's pretty impressive.
She was beating her in standing for sure. I mean, she was putting together combinations. She was pressuring her, walking her down. On the ground is where Jillian had the most success, but I don't think it was enough, man. I think the young 23-year-old Maverick just jumped into the top 15 rankings. But we're going to see. You never know what the judges.
She has to, though, right?
Well,
if you got Macy Barber's at 14. I mean, Robertson was at 15. Macy Barber, Talia Santos, Antonina Shevchenko, Andrea Lee, Alexa Grasso. She's better than all those fighters.
There we go. She got it. Well, she's got to beat. She beat somebody in the top 15, so she's at least going to be 15. I don't know if she's going to move in. But, you know, like I said, that's a girl who's 23 years old. I have no interest in moving her along. She had a ton of potential in that fight. A ton of potential, man. She's tough. She's scrappy. She puts together combinations, and she's not a fish out of water on the ground, to say the least. You know, she defended some submission.
Outstruck her 45-24. Yeah, outstruck her.
I like her, man.
A really good win. The way that she comes in with that jab is unique, man. I like the way she comes in with the jab.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't believe she's 23 years old. She fought like a veteran in there. And, you know, that's the future of these divisions. And you're going to see that. I think you're going to see that with the women more. This generation that's coming up right now, going to be a crazy generation.
She threw a nice 3 on the heel, like throwing an uppercut and then a 3, which is your left hook. If you're a righty, the uppercut's 4 coming up, but then oh my God. So I think we have someone else coming into the media room right now, Jeff, right here on MMA Weekly, UFC 260, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. A lot of power in Jamie Malarkey's fist tonight. A big win over Kama Worthy by knockout in 46 seconds of round number 1. He's at the podium
Jamie,
now
right.
in Las Vegas.
You're good. Congratulations on the quick victory. Initial thoughts after a dominant performance like that?
Yeah, it was. I didn't think it was going to go that quick, to be honest. Like I'm always expecting a war. Hope for the best, but expect the toughest way to victory.
That left hook that dropped him, is that something you were aware you could take advantage of, or is it just something that you capitalized on in the moment in the fight?
It's my best punch. My left hook's probably my best punch. But we were anticipating it back home, back with my team. We were, because he's a very fast counter striker, so I was expecting that counter to come real fast. So throwing the first punch is dangerous with Kama. He can catch a lot of people on that counter strike. So feinting the first shot, drawing that reaction out of him, and then banging the left hook, that was part of the plan.
And then moving forward, obviously you didn't take much damage in that fight. How quickly you're going to want to get back in there? Is there a specific name you want? Obviously the division is pretty stacked right now. It's even hard to break into the top 15. Is there any name or path that you're looking forward to for the rest of the year?
No names. I'll fight anyone. It's a stereotypical thing to say, but I'll literally fight anyone. Hopefully, I would like to get back on as soon as possible. Like, I got some lost time to make up for. I got to eat. I got to get paid, you know.
That was interesting. I would have asked him about 5 more. That was a good performance by Jamie Malarkey, Jim Grieshaber, Jeff Cain right here. UFC 260 live on MMA Weekly, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight, MMA.com. Khabib Nurmagomedov backstage at the UFC fights. Man, this dude's going to be around forever. If you're a fan of seeing Khabib around, you're going to see him a lot. You're just not going to see him fighting.
Yeah, he's going to take more of a coaching role and a training role. I mean, you're going to see him around. And who knows, man? I don't think he's coming back, but I wouldn't say the door's completely shut yet. You know, I think the door's shut. It's just not locked. I'll say that. The door's shut, but it's not locked yet.
A 5-star custom-made EA Sports medallion for the one and only Khabib Nurmagomedov. DC just presented it to him, as he did Israel Adesanya right before the Stylebender tried to take on Jan Blachowicz and move up to be the light heavyweight champ. And, you know, we saw a lot of the Mount Rushmore talk this week, Jeff, on the heavyweight side. You know, Stipe's the GOAT. Where do you put Cain? Where do you put Fedor? Where do you put, you know, the top 3? Is there a 4th up there? And Mount Rushmore, of course, has 4. But is there a 4th? Is it DC? Is it someone like Verdum? Is it somebody else? I just think the clear 3, and you'd have to put Brock in there somewhere for what he did to the sport. But and then you know, Big Nog was a Pride champion who ended up being an interim UFC. But when I look at the heavyweights, man, Stipe for sure, because of the number of defenses and the number of times he's walked out of the octagon with that belt being at the number 6, right? And he had those 3 defenses in a row. Everyone clearly says it's Stipe. But the respect that Cain Velasquez gets, even though he lost some fights, and even though, you know, he didn't fight all that often, the respect that he gets as one of the all-time greats, you know, is well-deserved and well-earned. I wish we could have seen, you know, Prime Cain against Prime Stipe. Francis does have a win over Cain, although anything but Prime Cain. We'll see, man. I mean, it's very, very, very tough to become an elite heavyweight, because you have to have the power, the speed, the athleticism, the strength, and all those things. The cardio that Cain had was out of this world. But the thing about Stipe, man, and everybody just thinks, hey, these big dudes are going to get in there and throw down, and someone's going to connect and put him out. There's so much more that goes into it, Jeff, and it's so technical. And that's what, to me, makes Stipe so good. Not only his ability to take punches that would normally hit most guys, he doesn't feel them, but also to take those big shots, turn them into glancing blows, and then to counterpunch so effectively. The best defense is a good offense in many cases, and a counterpunch is the perfect illustration of that. Stipe's counters are as good as anybody I've ever seen. The Verdum fight comes to mind. When he won the title, he's got 90,000 screaming fans cheering against him, saying they want to kill him. Verdum's rushing him right out of the gate, and he throws, as he's backpedaling, a left hook that knocks out the champion. I mean, his counter punching is so accurate and so devastating. His defense, his technical abilities, he's unbelievable. I think that people just tend to forget how good of a fighter he actually is. And Jeff, you know what I'm saying, right? How would I do a better job explaining this to just a regular fan, like if you're an actual fighter, if you're a technical fighter, if you've studied the art of boxing and you've studied the arts of mixed martial arts, you appreciate what Stipe does in there that much more. And you know that he wants to fight Fury and he wants to fight Anthony Joshua. He wants to box these guys. I mean, so we may see a boxing match in his future, but the technical wizardry in there, just watch it tonight. Do me a favor, guys. Think about this when you're watching the fight tonight. Think about the strategy of being 1 to 2 movements ahead of your opponent, because that's where these guys are. What's he going to throw? If he throws his one, I'm going to back up here. I'm going to circle around, I'm hitting him here. They're 2 to 3 moves ahead, and that's where they're looking right now. So I just want everybody to appreciate the brilliance of Stipe Miocic, not only in terms of defensive fighting, avoiding shots, but the counter punching, Jeff.
Yeah, Stipe's a well-rounded heavyweight. I mean, you talked about the hierarchy of heavyweight champions. I mean, I definitely put Verdum on there. I think second to Stipe, the most well-rounded heavyweight we have ever seen to date was Fabricio Verdum. But look, you got to throw Mark Coleman in there. You've got to go back to those Pride days where like Nogueira's just eating head. I mean, he's just eating head kicks from Crow Cop and then arm bars him.
Crow Cop is in there too. Yep.
Well, I don't think Crow Cop was one of the greatest heavyweights, but I think that at that time, he head kicked Nogueira. Nogueira got knocked out 3 times, and still
his only loss in that era was to Fedor. Remember that Crow Cop Fedor fight?
Yeah.
It was the first time Fedor
you got to throw
finish
Fedor.
someone.
Yeah, you got to throw Fedor in there, man, no question. And then I think you throw Cain in there. And look, it's not Cain's fault that his career was cut short due to injuries and just reoccurring injuries. But I feel like what Nogueira and Fedor did in Pride during those tournament days, man, the glory days of MMA, and then what Coleman did early on, and then Verdum's era, I feel like those are the best heavyweights we've ever seen. But, man, that's just me. And Arlovsky in his prime wasn't far off of those people. I mean, had he landed that flying knee on Fedor, had he landed that flying knee on Fedor in Affliction, everybody had been talking about Andrei Arlovsky's the greatest heavyweight of all time at the time. But Fedor landed that huge overhand right and flattened him, but Arlovsky was looking good in that fight.
Isaac Jamerson is there with us. I want to give a big shout out to Isaac. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Thank you. We appreciate that. We've been starting to get some of those, and we appreciate the super chats. And there you see Verdum, and we saw Don Fry a couple times in this old footage talking about great heavyweights, and Severn and those guys. There's Fedor. Man, which fight was that? Which fight did he get beat up like that? Not many of them.
That's Pride.
Is that the Crow Cop fight? That has to be, right? That's Pride.
Maybe. It's
the
hard
MMA
to say,
Weekly
man.
cameras have been everywhere. Dude, this bugs me out. Our cameras have been everywhere from the beginning of time. Isn't that amazing? I love it.
Those Pride days were great days, man. They were great days. Different rules. They had a mystique about them because they didn't fight in America. You didn't have access to them. Like I remember the first time I met Vanderlei Silva, he was like a damn superhero or something, I'm like, wow, Vanderlei Silva's actually in person, because you saw him for all those years in Japan, way over there. You stayed up all night on New Year's Eve and all that. And then to actually see him in person, now it's kind of like, wow, these guys are actually real. Vanderlei's real, Jim.
Man, I will tell you what, this is crazy. I love the world that we live in. We're getting people from all over the world, Jeff, watching us, commenting. We're talking about old fights. We got Sugar Sean O'Malley, who one day will probably cringe when he looks at what he's doing to his hair these days, because we all do. I just have hair envy. But I love it. I love that he's able to market himself. I know Tim Welch. I know those guys. I've been in Arizona a long time, and that camp that they're creating with Kyler Phillips, and I say it all the time, Mario Batista, Clayton Carpenter, love him down there. And who's the other Casey Kenny, who just fought Dominic Cruz and did pretty well in that fight. So, they got a great camp. They got a great coaching staff. They got a lot of really cool things. But here's the thing that as I study for fights, and I study for these fights like I'm calling them, Jeff, because I'm a play-by-play announcer, from day one, whether it was football or basketball. And I've had a pretty good career in that regard too. But I always study it like a play-by-play voice and try to see, what might come up during this fight. And as I was looking at this fight, O'Malley and Almeida, okay, and as fighters come to the podium, we're going to do our best to get it up there, and it'll probably be a while anyway, considering we just finished with Malarkey and Maverick just finished. And so now we've got O'Malley and Almeida. Thomas Almeida's got 17 knockouts. He's got a tremendous percentage of connectivity on his punches, and he has got a lot of big-time fights under his belt. This is anything but a gimme for Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Oh, exactly. I think this is one of Sugar's toughest fights to date. Almeida's losses are to number 3, Rob Font, number 4, Cody Garbrandt, and then the number 11, Jimmy Rivera. It was his last loss against Jonathan Martinez that threw everybody for a loop. But no, he's no easy out, man. Sean's going to have to perform tonight. You know, this is not an easy fight to try to rebound from your first career loss to.
No, and he's a minus 335 favorite. Speaking of Sean O'Malley, and I love the little gambling segments, and we're going to be doing a lot more of those here on MMA Weekly moving forward, also. But I love it when you see like the little gambling segments coming into a pre-fight show, because you're really getting the information, seeing where the money's going, where it's found. Obviously, if someone's minus 330, it means you have to bet 330 to win 100, right? But you can pick prop bets. How's he going to win? What round's he going to win? Parlay it with something else. You just want, will Sean O'Malley stay healthy through an entire fight right now if you're a Sugar Show fan? Because look, if you're a fan of the sport, if you're a fan of electricity in the octagon, if you're a fan of a guy who can do anything at any time in there athletically, then you're going to love Sean O'Malley. And his defense is through the roof. O'Malley doesn't get hit in there. The only thing that happens to him in there is he ends up getting hurt, and that injury really hurt him. But that was interesting to see what happened last time in the Chito Vera fight, because it had already happened once to Sugar Sean O'Malley. And you can again see the size difference there. But this is the fight that I was looking at, Jeff. Once I saw that the T-City and Volko, this is the fight that I was looking forward to the most besides the main. Right here, Almeida and O'Malley.
Yeah, I think that Sean has the biggest hype of any of the fighters on the card outside of the main event. And everybody wants to see how he's going to look after that first career loss. Is he going to come out and take the same risk? Because you're right, he's been injured twice. He injured his foot in one fight, and then the other one he was injured from leg kicks. And so people can question his durability. Yeah, I don't really question his durability yet.
No, and his leg kicks are phenomenal, man. He will take the back of your knee and just destroy it. And he's already working on that with Almeida. He's so quick. His feints, you could just see the level of striking. And when I first knew O'Malley was for real out here in Arizona and a lot of regional LFA shows, when he knocked out David Nuzzo, who's known in Arizona as the guy, if you got past David Nuzzo, you had a chance to make it to the highest of levels. And the people who beat David Nuzzo along the way in Arizona are people who have made it all the way to the top. And O'Malley knocked him out with a spinning hook kick in 2017. I remember being there for that fight. And then the Sukumtath fight, that was the one you were talking about where he won it, with the injured foot. Eddie Wineland, he just devastated. But, man, we'll see. This is crazy, man. He looks so quick in there. Oh, man, when he's coming forward, he does it a lot of times with his arms down. He's got a super unconventional style. And he's so quick. Oh, and he just almost ate a big left hook from Almeida, though.
Yeah, he throws this really straight left hand that covers a lot of distance. He's kind of like McGregor in that way, to where you think you're out of range and you are not out of range. And so he's deceptive a lot, and he can cover a lot of ground. That's why he can have his hands down. He can get out of range with one step, where a lot of people can't do that. He's long, and he uses his length to his advantage, which is good because, it's frustrating to watch fighters who have that ability, like Stefan Struve, for instance, and doesn't use it. Sean O'Malley uses his length to his advantage.
Stefan Struve, the answer to a trivia question. One day he beats Stipe. Not many guys. O'Malley. Right hand. O'Malley likes to throw that front, and then he'll follow that right up with an elbow. His combinations are impressive, unconventional. He changes stances and switches styles, levels constantly. Very cool. But Almeida, again, he's as good gets. He was out for a while, and that's that last loss that he had. This is a big one for him, and he just got dropped, like hard dropped. Damn, I can't believe he got up from that. O'Malley just floored him.
Oh, you're a little ahead of me. I haven't seen it. What did he catch him with?
Yeah, Almeida's hurt. I'm at 150 left in the round. Where are you at, Jeff?
Oh, hell, I'm at 210. It's 20 seconds.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a round two. Wow, O'Malley looks quick. He looks so quick and wow. It's hard when you're sitting here. You don't want to do play-by-play because you don't want to get in trouble. But, man, O'Malley just throwing tons of volume, looks calm and cool and collected in there. Exactly what he needed to do in this fight. But he needs to finish it up. He needs the first-round finish.
Well, like I said, I think he just has to win and look decent doing it because he's not, he doesn't get anything from this anyway, other than I mean, if he wins by a crazy knockout or if he wins by decision, he's not going anywhere in the rankings, and so he just needs to get past this fight without a loss, and I think he's okay. He's got that weird looking away thing where he looks away and then throws a punch at you, which throws you off for sure.
Like
he
a
just
no-look
does
pass
things
from a
that
point
people
guard.
don't do. Yeah, he just does things people don't do. You know, I'm not saying that people won't implement that moving forward. He might have changed the game, but that you don't see that very often where he looks away and then throws a punch afterwards.
No, he whiffed on a head kick too. It's almost like, you'd see like when I was a kid, you'd go to like Yankee Stadium and see Dave Winfield or Reggie Jackson or somebody like that, and they'd swing and miss, and from the upper deck, everybody would be going, "Oh, Sugar Sean missed with a head kick, man." They had that shim music. You know, if it hit him, he was in big trouble. But it looks like this one's going to go to round 2, and a clear advantage in round 1 to O'Malley. There's just different levels to this, and he just looks at a super. And Almeida can't even find him going in to look to put together combinations and sequences, and he can't even find him. O'Malley's just so quick.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, he is a star, Jeff. He is a star, man. I mean, that loss was a fluke. He is a star. People love to rip on the guy who's like, he didn't
loss,
beat me, that wasn't a real loss.
That was a real loss. He got finished. He got finished.
A loss is a loss. A loss is a loss. I agree with you 100%.
No,
now would he have gotten finished if he didn't hurt his foot? No, but it's part of the sport.
It wasn't. He got his leg hurt because he got kicked by his opponent. So would he have got knocked out if his opponent didn't hurt him? I mean, that's a legitimate loss. Sugar Sean has lost. And there's a lot of stars. He's got he has to, like I said, he's a star, but Paige Van Zandt was a star until we found out that she wasn't a great fighter. We won't know if Sean O'Malley's a great fighter until he starts fighting top 5 guys. Yeah, it's Sage. I mean, tons of people. Yeah, tons of people come in here with a lot of hype and they leave with a lot of losses. Sean O'Malley right now is maintaining. He's maintaining.
Good on Mark Smith for stopping that.
Yeah, he hit him with the head kick, and then that's what hurt him. And he followed with the right hand that dropped him, but he was hurt bad.
He dropped him with the right, and he thought it was a walk-off. He stopped right there, and he thought it was a walk-off, but it wasn't. From Montana, O'Malley. But he's unbelievable, man. Yeah, and someone asked if Anthony Pettis retired. Joe Blow, too. Sergio's in Bellator. Anthony is fighting for the $1 million in PFL.
Yeah. No, he is not retired. He's just not in the UFC.
Thanks, Isaac, for explaining that. Isaac, not only is Isaac Jamerson, he's coming on YouTube and being one of our best. What did he do? He did a super chat for us, but Isaac answering question for us in there too, letting everybody know it's YouTube. They'd get shut down quick as if they showed the fight. So thank you for answering that for us. You can't just take people's content and put it on your own channel anytime you want. This just in.
Yeah. When Dana White's constantly talking about illegal streamers, that would make us an illegal streamer if we showed you the fights. And I don't want to get sued by the UFC.
Bam, 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 bam.
That's right. So no, we cannot show the fights. We can't really do play-by-play. Yeah, we can't even really do play-by-play. We can paint you a broad picture.
But O'Malley has trouble, man. Like there's something about him, like he's so explosive and so strong and so quick. Like he does have his feet. It's almost like being so quick and so good and so powerful works against him sometimes. If that makes any sense. And I know it doesn't, but it kind of does.
Well, I think what O'Malley does to a lot of people is he throws you, those no-look things, those front kicks and spin kicks, and he does a bunch of unorthodox stuff, and then you figure out that his range is a lot further than you thought it was. And in the second round, you know all those things, and so you can start making adjustments for him. Because when he throws those big, big moves, man, he leaves himself wide open. Those are the moments where you're going to seize opportunities against Sean O'Malley. We just haven't seen Almeida be able to do that yet.
But he's a very high-level fighter, Almeida. He's a very high-level guy, Almeida.
Yeah, he's been in there with some of the best. He just can't get over the hump. You just can't beat those guys at the top of the division.
No, Josria Roguez says, keep looking away and you'll miss what hit you. That's true. He's got a point. These super flashy guys, man. I mean, look, we've seen Anthony Pettis get messed up real bad. It happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, the reason why O'Malley gets criticism is because he because he's puts himself out there. You know, if you're going to talk a whole bunch of smack and say you're going to accomplish all this and that, you're going to have to back it up, or the fans are going to, you know, you're going to get some backlash whenever you fall. And you see that with everybody, right? You see that with literally everybody. But O'Malley's not special in that regard. Conor McGregor's the perfect example. You know, he's got some of the biggest fans in the world, but also the absolute biggest haters. Could you imagine if Khabib lost, the amount of people that would be going crazy saying, "I told you,"
Oh,
you know, that's just the way it is.
That, you know, he baits Almeida in, and by the time Almeida goes in there to throw even a 1-2, Jeff, you know, jab punch 1-2, even to throw that, he's gone. He's long gone, like literally long gone. I mean, you could throw a punch at his face. It's like maybe, you know, he's really quick.
Long.
Man.
He's able to lean, and as he steps back, and he can cover a lot of ground. So I think you have to catch him when he's throwing. You know, you got to catch him during beat him to the punch. You know, I don't think you're going to do well countering Sugar Sean.
No,
but you know he does leave his hands down and stuff. I mean, there's definitely things that people could exploit, but you're going to have to really pressure him to do that. I mean, you're going to have to really pressure him, and that's never good.
But when you're as cocky as he is, and you talk the way that he talks, right? And you're constantly talking shit, and you're constantly talking like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Which again, I don't understand how sliced bread became the benchmark, but I digress. I wonder why everyone loves to see like anyone who brags, anyone who loves to run their mouth. And you just said it. They love to see people like that get punched in the mouth. But at some point, when you're bragging about guys like Almeida and Eddie Wineland and all, people don't want to hear you bragging about beating guys like this. Like if O'Malley starts running his mouth after this fight and you know, like beating a guy like Almeida, if he wins this fight, he just slipped and fell on his back again. A little too flashy sometimes. But I think about it and I go, you can't keep talking crap, beating lower level guys for a super long time. That level, Conor McGregor did it as he was beating top level guys, and every single time he came out and said he was doing it to the next guy. O'Malley's trying to copy the formula, except the formula got blasted into next month by Chito Vera when O'Malley hurt his foot.
Yeah, I mean, Conor talked smack from his first fight in there. He just backed it up until he, you know, faced Nate Diaz. And so that's.
Oh wait, hold on, Jeff. 1 second. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I got to read this. I got to pause it real quick. This is from Teddy Atlas, so you got to hear it. I know you'll love this. Old school guys like us, we love Teddy Atlas. So this is Teddy Atlas, one of the greatest boxing trainers of all time, talking about Sean O'Malley, who people say is one of the greatest strikers. It's from Teddy's Twitter. He says he hasn't seen anyone this talented and unorthodox since maybe Prince Hamed in the 80s, and literally a colorful style. That's high praise from Teddy Atlas on Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Prince Hamed. I mean, that's a pretty good fighter.
Yeah, he was Hector Macho Camacho 2.0. And yeah, look, I mean, Sean's good at what he does, but he does his style. He does keep his hands down. I'd be interested to see what a high pressure fighter does to him. Now he's a counter fighter, you know, so pressuring him is very dangerous. But I would like to see somebody who was hell bent on taking him down and how he would respond to that. But he's looking good in this fight. You know, he's made it to the third round.
Yeah, only one loss in the career of only one loss in Prince Hamed's career. So Sugar Sean O'Malley and Almeida. Yeah, O'Malley has looked really good in this fight. I mean, it's exactly what I thought I'd see. He hasn't looked like he's been overwhelming Almeida in terms of, you know, power or speed or any. I mean, I don't know. He's a cocky fighter who's going to beat everybody he should beat until he gets to the point where he's going to beat everyone or not. You know, and the leg kicks are brutal. Do you know what I mean by that, though, Jeff? Because there comes a certain point in time where you can beat everybody up. And when you have that kind of talent, but then what matters is what happens when you get to the top of the top. And either you're going to win there or you're not. We don't know that about him yet. We have no clue. No clue, because he hasn't been at that level yet. He hasn't reached that level. Well, probably would have been in this fight had it not been for the Vera fight and the injury.
Well, he just hasn't faced all of the differing styles that make up the top of that division. You know, there's vastly different fighters at the top of that division that bring different things to the table. You know, what would I like to see him in there with a Garbrandt to just let him throw down in a kickboxing bout? Yep. Yeah, you know, is he faster than Cody? You know, I don't know. Cody's extremely fast.
I don't know that either. He's probably a better kicker, I would say.
Yeah, but Cody fires off combat. Like he'll eat that kick. He'll take it. Why? Because
And
he's gonna
Cody's a
throw fire
legit
off him.
boxer.
Yeah.
He's a
And
legit
so
boxer, Cody.
there's
Maybe we
questions
talk about the
around.
best boxers in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, O'Malley's looked great so far in his career, outside of the one loss in his last fight, and then he's looking good in this fight, and so he's going to keep moving up. And he's flashy. The organization likes him. People like him, so he's going to get opportunities quicker than other people with similar resumes, in my opinion. That's the history of the sport. But
Jeff, he's not dominating Thomas Almeida like I thought he needed to tonight. There's something missing from this performance, and I don't have the volume on. We're doing a show. I'll watch it again. Maybe tonight I'll watch it again, but I just don't see it from him tonight. I just don't.
I mean, he's touching up Almeida, and he did have him hurt pretty bad in that second. Like, was it the second round or was it the first? It was the first round.
Yeah, when he thought he had the walk off.
Right now I feel like Almeida has the timing and the distance down, and so he's doing a better job getting out of the way of these punches. He isn't doing a good job getting out of the way of the front kicks to the body, though. But he is doing a pretty good job of avoiding that no look right hand.
And he's coming forward big time. He could get a finish here. I wouldn't count him out.
Well, he's fighting with the sense of urgency that he needs to. He's lost 2 rounds. He knows he's lost 2 rounds, and he's fighting with the urgency that he needs to. I'm impressed that he's going out here. He's willing to go out on his shield, and so that's a big props to the guy. He's walking O'Malley down. It's just O'Malley has good footwork, man. He's hard to box in.
Isaac Jamerson wants to know, what do you guys think about Dustin taking the Conor trilogy over the title shot? I think that Dustin Poirier has been fighting a long time, and he wants to make a shit ton of money, and he knows the belt's going to be there. That's exactly the way I would put that. I would take the Conor fight, the trilogy fight, 100 times out of 100. He's already been an interim champ. Khabib's not coming back. He'll have time to win that belt. You never know when the big money opportunities are going to come, and when they come, you got to take them. And I think he knows, he's smart enough to realize that. That's my take on that. What do you think, Jeff?
Oh, it's prize fighting, man. You fight for the prize. I mean, I talked about this earlier this week with somebody at MMA Weekly.
Oh boy!
But I mean, if you ask me, hey,
that's just bad shit. I don't want to speak too far out of turn here, Jeff. I know you're a little behind me, but he did not need to take that last shot.
We'll see where the referee's positioning is. No, but I mean I'm guessing Sean knocks him out.
Well, if you see, and I apologize, Jeff, because I know you didn't get there yet, but it was a spinning kick into the rib cage that kind of hurt him a little bit. I mean, just the kicks behind the knees, taking him off balance, and then he's just coming through, and he throws a kick that was originally going to be toward the midsection, and Almeida ducked down, so it hit him on the side of the head. Then a front kick under the ribs, and then another kick in back of the knee, just relentlessly coming at him from all the different angles and pounding him. And those foot stomps and those kicks and just taking away his base throughout this fight. They're just constantly hammering away at his base. And then when Almeida came in, his leg kind of crumpled. And Almeida didn't even look like he was defending himself. And Sugar Sean came through and just, I want to take that back. I don't need to be criticizing the ref like that. That wasn't his fault. I take that back. At first, it looked like he took an unnecessary shot, but
his eyes doesn't roll back or anything like that. I felt like the referee thought he was still there until he didn't cover up, and then he's like, "Oh shit."
That was my fault.
I mean, that's kind of the way I looked at it, but yeah, I mean, he was trying to win the fight, and so he starts pressuring O'Malley, which is what he needed to do. And then in the course of that, while closing the distance, he ate a short right hand that dropped him on his ass. And then O'Malley finished him with a big shot while Almeida is laying on the ground. But yeah, I don't fault the referee for that, man. I think the referee felt like he was still there and Thomas just wasn't.
Yeah, no, and I made a mistake. I'm man enough to admit that. But he was laying there flat, and when you look at O'Malley dive down to punch him, it was like, man, like, how did he not see that coming? But when you watch it again, that's why I thought it was, at first it should have been stopped sooner, but it wasn't even a punch that put him there. So I apologize to Mark Smith for that. And there's a man breathing easily right now, Sugar Sean O'Malley. back in the win column. Very impressive, very dominating performance, Jeff. Exactly what he needed tonight. He needed a finish. He needed a knockout. He got it.
Yep. And now getting back to the Poirier question that we got interrupted because Sean O'Malley decided to finish the fight. Props on Sean.
Yeah, how rude, man. Go punch a guy in the face like that when we're trying to get out a point on our show.
Yeah, he didn't coordinate that with the that knockout was
look,
but yeah,
Sean O'Malley is trying to be Kobe Bryant to Michael Jordan is what he's trying to do. He's trying to be the next Conor McGregor. His tattoos are the same colors. Kobe emulated Michael perfectly. That's why they say the argument isn't LeBron versus Michael. It's Michael and Kobe, because completely different fighters, completely different in every sense of the word. But I didn't mean to interrupt you again, Jeff. You were finishing your point on Poirier. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Poirier, of course, this is prize fighting. That's the whole goal. That all the shiny belts and shit doesn't mean anything if the bank account doesn't match up. And so, I was talking to somebody that worked at MMA Weekly this week, and you come to me and say, Jeff, you can take a big pay cut, but I'm going to put a nameplate on your door. I'm going to tell you to kiss my ass. If you tell me I can get a raise with no nameplate, well, now we're talking. And that's the way I look at that, man. Dustin's doing exactly what he should do. He's doing exactly what he should do. And even if it costs him a title fight, even if he never gets into a title fight, he's going to make more money off that fight than probably if he fought, the winner of the fight coming up between Oliveira and Chandler, or if he fought Gaethje. I think that he makes more off the Conor fight. Take the money.
Man, I honestly believe, too, that Sean O'Malley is a great fighter. I believe he's going to reach that level. When I say I haven't seen him do it against top-level quality competition yet, I haven't. That's the truth. But that doesn't mean I don't think he will. I want to make sure I point that out.
I want to see what happens with somebody who's used to that length, because he does have some bad habits with his head and his hands down. And I worry about somebody like Cody, would exploit the shit out of that, man. But Sean's not there yet, and so I'm pushing him way up the division. He's not getting that fight next. He's going to get the number 12th or 11th ranked guy, and then he's going to have to work his way up from there. So, what's weird is I'm talking about him fighting the top of the top. And so I'm pushing him further ahead than where he is. My bad on that. Sean O'Malley doesn't have to beat Cody Garbrandt. He's got to beat his next opponent. He doesn't have to beat Cody Garbrandt.
But his next opponent is going to be though. It's got to be. I mean, look, Kelly and Megan Fox at the fights tonight. That's a little Stipe thing. They got Travis Barker in there, but Stipe's buddies with Machine Gun Kelly. X again. Oh, look, Kourtney Kardashian staying relevant. She's with Travis Barker. She's the one sister I like, and she ends up with him. Not a fan. But the Apex is starting to fill up. The arenas are starting to fill up, Jeff. We're getting back to the world. We're getting back to the world, baby. This is our year, 2021, and we still have some big, big, big fights coming up here. Man, I mean, these next two fights are as big as you get. You got a former champion in Tyron Woodley who has not looked good, dominated by Kamaru Usman to lose the belt, dominated by Gilbert Burns and Colby Covington, both last year back-to-back in Vegas. And now he gets Vicente Luque, a hungry up-and-comer who has wanted this type of fight, who has wanted a name like this, who has wanted to show the world what he can do against a big-name, big-time fighter. He gets that chance tonight. He gets that chance tonight against an all-time, and I'm going to say it, an all-time great champion in Tyron Woodley. Fighters don't do what Tyron Woodley's been able to do in his career. Champions don't do what Tyron Woodley was able to do when he had that belt. We don't want to lose sight of the fact that he was a special champion. Will he be again? We don't know. But he's got to get it back on track. And it's finally for him seeing someone outside of the top three. And not that Luque is any less of a danger, but I mean, look, it doesn't get any better than Usman, Burns, and Colby back to back to back.
No, he has to win tonight. If he loses to the number 10th ranked guy, and that's 4 losses in a row, I don't know where Woodley goes from there. This is a must-win fight for Woodley. And like you brought up, that's the storyline. Woodley's losses are to the champion, number 1 and 2 in the world. No harm in that, right? But tonight, that's not going to be the case. He's either going to come out here and make the 10th ranked guy look like the 10th ranked guy, or we're going to have to admit that Woodley's not at the top of that division anymore. And we'll see. That's the questions heading in. I think Woodley's the better fighter, but I'll say that I'm not all that confident because he hasn't fought with a sense of urgency in his last several fights. But the caveat is who he was fighting. We'll see what happens tonight. Luque's dangerous, man. Luque's absolutely dangerous.
No, and if you're looking for common opponents, I guess the biggest one would be Wonderboy. Woodley is the draw against Wonderboy, and then the win. And Luque lost to him. And I think we have someone else coming into the press room here. Let's see what we got up in Vegas with our MMA Weekly cameras. It's UFC 260 live on MMA Weekly, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight, MMA.com, 50% off with the code MMA50. And here is Miranda Maverick with a big win over Jillian Robinson tonight. Robertson.
Right other side.
Oh, what? Okay.
Congratulations on the victory. Initial thoughts after a performance like that?
For me, it's always going back to the drawing board, win or lose. I know I have some improvements to make, so going to get back in the gym pretty soon and get right back to work for the next fight.
Round two, she kind of had you stuck in a couple submission attempts in there. Even the commentators thought she had a couple deep chokes in there. Was anything, were you in danger at all in there?
I was never in danger. I obviously knew I was losing position a few times, but I never felt in danger of a choke or anything else. Everything I was very aware of that was happening and just working on trying to get back up and in better position or reversing it on her. Took me a little bit longer than I had wished.
At the end of round two, when you finally did up, you kind of swarmed her to close out the round, and then you came out the same way until you got the dominant position too. How much confidence did that, between 2 and 3, did that late flurry carry over into the next round?
I think it gave me some confidence. I had already taken her down, I think, in the first round, so that wasn't the issue. It was just a matter of like a game plan that we had actually worked of. She may be like all hyped up that she got me on the ground even if she gets in dominant position, but it's about getting back up and attacking her and not giving her a rest as soon as I get up.
And then you also were throwing up some submission attempts in the round 3. Was anything close, or were you close to securing anything in there?
Not really. I think I was good positionally, but I needed to let go even sooner than I did and start striking and using that positional dominance to actually strike and be more dominant in the judges' eyes. I think I did a better job of adjusting to that. Like I said, always improvements to be made more so.
Then the commentators were making a lot about the size difference. It says that eventually you might have to go up to bantamweight. But in this fight specifically, could you feel a significant strength advantage against Jillian?
I feel like I always feel a significant strength advantage. Honestly, being strong is one of my biggest strengths. People have always said it. At first in my career, I didn't like it because nobody gave me credit for my technique. Now I think it's all well-rounded. Everybody sees all of it. I will never go to bantamweight. That's not an option for me. I'm short. I am smaller. I just have a lot of muscle on my frame, and I'll adjust to that as need be as I age. But for now, flyweight's my home, and I feel very strong there and like I'm in a dominant position in most opponents.
And then you had mentioned something about a rough weight cut leading into this fight. Was that just because it was 2 back-to-back cuts, or was there something specifically?
That was mainly it. Yeah, just everything happens, especially being a female and stuff. There's sometimes rough weight cuts, but the back-to-back was a problem. I've been fighting being a little bit sick for the last like 4 weeks, so just everything kind of piled on top. I still made weight. I still did good, and we muscled through it. But at the end of the day, it was a little bit rough. I think it hurt my cardio just a little bit, but I felt good in that fight, ready to get back in there and improve even more and look like a different fighter every time I walk into the cage.
And finally, I know you have a lot going on in your life outside of fighting too, but how soon do you want to get back into the octagon? Is there a specific name you want for your next test?
I'm thinking end of June, beginning of July is when I'd like to be back in there. I'd like to have a full fight camp, not any 4-week, 3-week call-ups. You know, the end goal for all of us as flyweights, I think, is to fight for that title, fight Valentina Shevchenko. Everybody gives everyone a problem for saying that, you know, especially with it being my second fight in the UFC. But I don't plan on fighting her my next fight. That's not what I mean. I mean, within 2 years, I want to be there. I want to work my way up. And if that means going through one sister first, I will.
Hey, Miranda over here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Was your dad able to make it out for this one?
He
and bring the
was.
corner?
My dad is able to make it out this time. I was very excited for that. So he was in my corner. He's more the timekeeper and my moral support over there for now, but he was able to make it, and I'm very glad.
Can you talk about what that means? Because obviously he wasn't there for your UFC debut, and this is his first time experiencing you as a UFC fighter.
Yes.
Just, I have to imagine he was even more special than the other fights he's been in.
I wouldn't say it was more special. It gave me almost more motivation last time he wasn't there, because I know he's at home just biting his fingernails the whole time I'm in there fighting. He gets much more nervous and anxious than I do. This time, you know, I love just having him there. He was here the whole time I did my weight cut. Weight cuts are really hard on him to watch for me, especially when they're rough like this one was. But he's there for me. He's my mental coach. He's the one who basically, wouldn't say forced me into the sport or anything, but he's been there since I started the sport, encouraging me all the way up and being in my corner. So it's very special to have him there, and it's something that not many people have, and I'm blessed to have a father and a family that's so supportive of what I do.
Can you discuss a little bit about having to reset a bit because the last fight it was canceled, you know, the day of, you have to push it back a couple of weeks, just having to make that adjustment after you'd already completed camp?
There was no adjustment. It was just a 4-week extension of the last fight camp. Same opponent, same game plan. I just go in there trying to improve 1% more every single day. That's how it always is, whether I'm in fight camp or out of fight camp. So I was ready for it. I'm glad it was the same opponent, honestly, because we didn't have to change anything. It was just grinding out those next 4 weeks.
Do you have more or less homework to deal with when you get home?
Oh, more. By far more. These last 2 days, my last class was on Wednesday night, and I had some homework to do even the day that I was doing weight cutting. About Thursday at 5 o'clock, I got done with everything that I was required to get done, and the rest of the days I've been focused on the fight. But actually, tomorrow on the plane, I'll be working on stuff the whole way home.
My final question, I know you recently appeared in a film, Life After the Cage, if I'm not mistaken. For people watching or who haven't heard about it yet, what would they learn about you when they watch the film?
They'd see where that strength comes from. It actually has my whole family in it pretty much. It shows that farm background that I'm from, us working on the farm, and just has my dad kind of talking about the background of how I was raised and why basically the way I was raised kind of led me into this sport and made it to where I have an advantage in this sport against most other females.
One last one. Was there more pressure for yourself because, you know, John Anik had been saying a lot, the fight got moved to the main card? It just seemed like compared to the last one, there was even more attention on you.
I don't think that affects me at all, honestly. I'm my harshest critic. I've said that before. My dad's probably my second hardest critic. And my coaches are always there keeping me confident and ready to go every time I step into the cage so that I don't get surprised. You know, I get my butt whooped every day in practice, so getting in there and like losing 20 seconds or 2 minutes of a round is no problem for me. Get up and go back to it again. The hype train, I don't want to go in there and be like, well, so-and-so said I'm the best or this good, so I'm just going to go in there and do what I need to. I go back to the gym and I work on becoming that hype train every single day.
Congrats again.
Thank you.
Yes, quick, just for clarification, when you said you would go through Andy's sister to get to the champ, is that about Antonita Shevchenko specifically?
Yes, sir.
So she has a fight with Andrea Lee coming up soon. Are you looking at the winner of that possibly?
Possibly, yes. I'd love to have any ranked opponent, to be honest, but I think it'd be exciting to go through one sister and then the other.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one quick one for me.
Yes,
You know, I think they even mentioned on the commentary as well. They kept talking of you as being this prospect, this person coming up. Do you think with a fight like this, and especially over a top 15, are we ready to just get rid of this prospect title? Or are you ready to hopefully overtake that role and enter into the top 15?
It's an ironic thing, actually, because the whole time I was in Invicta, I was being called a prospect. You know, I started there at 18, worked up 19, then 20. I'm always a prospect until I was finally a contender for the title, and then I moved to the UFC, started back as the little fish in the big pond, you know. So it's been amusing to be called a prospect again. But honestly, I think here it does fit. You know, I'm this young person, I am up and coming, and until you've basically made it to title contention, you are a prospect in this sport. So I'm ready to just work my way up, and whenever people want to stop calling me the prospect, it'll be clear.
And looking at 2021, what sort of goals are you setting for yourself this year?
2021, top 10.
I like it. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right. Nice job. Nice job, Miranda Maverick. Nice job in the octagon, Jeff, and very nice job in the press room by Miranda.
That is a very motivated and focused 23-year-old, Jim. Oh, my goodness. I wish I was that way at 23. She's at Old Dominion working on her PhD.
I wish I was that way. I would hope I can be that way at 53.
Yeah.
In a few years.
I mean, but for people that don't know, and they're talking about her schooling, she has degrees in psychology and sociology, and she is working on her PhD in, industrial and organizational psychology at Old Dominion. You know, so she's doing a lot, man. She's doing a lot.
She's doing a lot. And she picked up a big win tonight. Nothing bigger than that win over Jillian Robertson tonight. And now here we are right away, the co-main. And the one thing I heard coming into this fight with Tyron Woodley and Vicente Luque that really stood out the most to me, Jeff, when you look at Luque, he's a black belt. You know, his mom's a black belt. His first pro fight was at 17. He's a prodigy, always been a prodigy. This is the biggest fight of his career. And now he's got Tyron Woodley pinned against the fence. Woodley came out aggressive in this one. The one thing I heard that stood out to me the most, Jeff, is that Woodley told his coaches that he needed to be put back in the passenger seat in this camp. Meaning, you know, you get a certain level in this sport or any sport, you start to call your own shots. Woodley made it very clear that he wanted to be the student And back, you just going back to your roots and saying to your coaches, hey, you guys drive the car this time. And I was impressed by that.
Yeah, every fighter needs that, man. I mean, once you get so big that you think that you are the ones that, it's too big of a distraction. Leading up to a big fight, you just want to focus on the training, the game plan, getting in shape, making the weight, and getting in here and peaking at the right time. To put together all the regiments and how many hours a day you're going to do certain stuff and what you're going to work on, it's too much. It's too much, man. Or I think it is. And so I think it's a good deal for Woodley. Like you said, he came out aggressive, and that's what I've been talking about. That's the Woodley. Maybe we're going to see Woodley fighting with a little urgency, not so much. Maybe he was like a champion, not wanting to lose, and now he's not in that position anymore.
It felt to me like he was losing some of his strength in these last few fights. The way that Usman was so much bigger and handled him against the cage and in the wrestling game, and the way that Burns and Colby, and these are great grapplers and wrestlers, I know, but so is Woodley. But even there early on against Luque getting the better of the exchanges against the cage and seeming to be a little bit stronger. It surprises me.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kamaru's big, man.
Kamaru's big. He's a big dude.
He's a big dude. Yeah, I mean, I don't know
he's a big
anybody in the division. Yeah, that's going to like out muscle him. But yeah, I agree with your point on everybody else. I don't know. People catch up. People catch up to you. And look, so much of this game is mental. And I feel like Woodley wasn't really happy with maybe the UFC wasn't happy with the fights he was getting, and you saw that in his performances. I think that he's a fighter who has to be in a really good place mentally to perform at that level, and I just felt like we haven't seen that from him in a minute. But he's not looking bad,
and he's fighting another guy in Luque here who's coming out of that Sanford MMA group, and you got the Burns brothers, so they're familiar with Woodley too. But I mean, look, you're on the top for that long, man, and everyone's gunning for you. Everyone's training to beat you. Everyone's training to be the best in the world, but you're the guy with the belt. They're training to fight you. And that takes its toll after a while, man. And, Woodley, look, we say it over and over again. Those three guys who beat him are the three best in the world. This is the telling fight. And Luque's great. Luque could be 4 for all we know. We don't know. And Woodley looks like he might be. Is he hurt? No, he's not hurt. He's throwing kicks, though. Oh, Woodley is hurt. He's stumbling. And something happened to Woodley in there. Oh, Woodley's hurt. He's badly hurt. What is going on?
Let me look at this. Oh, he got hit with a right hand. That's what happened. He got hit with a huge right hand.
He's out on his feet still, it seems.
Yeah, he's throwing back.
Woodley,
he's definitely. Oh no, Woodley. Yeah, he's hanging on, man. Woodley's tough, man. He's tough.
What do you have on your clock, Jeff?
Hurt. Is it over on yours, Jim?
No. What do you have on your clock? I'm at 120, 119, 118.
I'm at 131. So I'm 10 seconds behind you.
All right. He's trying to get a rear naked down on Woodley, but Woodley's not having it. He's trying to work and get. Yeah, Luque's trying to work a choke from bottom.
On him. Yeah, he's got a Darce choke.
Oh, he got him. He got him. Yeah, he got him with a Darce. Tyron Woodley, man.
Is he going to go does Woodley go all the way out here? Because that's in so deep.
No, I just can't, man. I hate watching this happen to. It sucks. I mean, he's been so fast. And everybody he's fighting is great. I mean, it's tough to say he's even declining,
Yeah, look, there was a crazy like Woodley was being aggressive in this fight, and he threw a combination, and at the end of the combination, Luque hit him with a counter right hand, and it staggered Woodley. He never recovered for like
I missed all that while we were
talking. Yeah, but Woodley fought back, man. I mean, I feel like that's the toughest, the best performance, which is crazy because Woodley was so hurt, his legs were gone, and he's still firing back and still trying to get a takedown. He was in that fight, man. But yeah. He eventually succumbed to the Darce choke.
Yeah,
what's crazy
the Darce
choke. Luque early. He might have hurt Luque early with a right hand. It looked like Luque.
With the right hand, yeah.
I mean, Luque Woodley's legs just aren't there, and he can't get his hands back up, man.
No, and when he rolled the Darce, like I thought for a second Woodley was going to get out of it, but nope. Man. That was a plus 800 bet from DraftKings. $100 bet on pays 800 on DraftKings for Luque to win by Darce choke by submission.
Yeah, that Darce is in so deep, man. Darces are sneaky, man. They're sneaky. And you know, sometimes you don't realize that that they're in that deep, and then it's done. It's over. It's already a wrap. You just haven't tapped yet. And that's what it looked like with Woodley. But man, I think Woodley was just trying. He was hurt on his feet, and he was just trying to not absorb the shots. And when the fight went to the ground, Luque sunk in that Darce quick, man. Props to Luque, though. That's the biggest win of his career.
It happens fast. 3 minutes 56 seconds of the very first round. Woodley,
I'll
man.
have to look at the audio's coming through. Audio's coming through.
I hate to see. I mean, I hate to say prematurely that it's the end of the line for any athlete. I hate to say that, you know, hey, he's lost a step, or hey, he's this or she's that. I don't like to say those things because we don't know. But also, again, the body of work. These guys who he's fighting are the best in the world, man, and Luque's a killer. Are we supposed to say because Luque's 10, this is a worse loss than Colby Covington, who's in the top 3? I mean, how are we supposed to say? Do we know if Woodley has slipped that far? Do we really? We don't know. I mean, because Luque could be the 4th best guy in the world. We don't know. I mean, what if Luque goes and now who would be next for Luque? Because what I just saw in there right now, Luque will kill Chiesa. He'll kill Chiesa. That won't even be a fight.
Well, that's why we have the fights. Chiesa, what I like about Chiesa is everybody always writes out off Chiesa, and he still finds ways to win.
You're right.
You know, I agree with what you're saying about Chiesa. Luque, visually, for sure, looks a lot more impressive than Michael Chiesa, but Chiesa keeps winning.
He has
I don't have the rankings
finishes
pulled up in front of me, but I have my notes that I was either going to, if Luque wins, I was either going to put him right above Chiesa or below, and considering that he won by a Darce choke, he's probably going to go right above Chiesa. Where that puts Woodley, man, 4 losses, a former champion. I mean, I hate to say it, and I hope that the UFC don't do it. I hope they didn't cut, you know, JDS and Overeem, but it looks like Woodley kind of falls into that category right now. 4 losses in a row is tough for anybody, but on his pay grade, it's even tougher. Hopefully Woodley stays in the UFC. Well, you can't. That's what I'm saying. No, exactly. So I think you might see him exit the organization. It's now we're going to, you know, I think the bigger question is, does Woodley retire, or does he go after $1 million paydays elsewhere, or jump over to Bellator, who's building their roster? You know, who knows what happened to him? He might stay in the UFC. Don't get me wrong. I like Woodley. I think Woodley's a great asset to the roster, but now who do you put him in there with? You know, you don't want to put him in there with anybody ranked higher than Luque because he's on 4-fight losing streak. And then do you want to pay him that amount of money to fight the 13th ranked guy in the world? The UFC's got a lot of decisions to make, man. Hopefully Woodley comes out on the other side.
Yeah, and I hope Woodley keeps fighting. I know, but, you know, and Luque was just saying right now, like a really good, you know, Woodley hits hard. He's like, man, that guy hits harder than I thought. He really caught me there, but he did a big win for him.
Yeah, look, I'll say this, man. Woodley showed me what I wanted to see out of him. That's why I'm going to be I mean, I'm not going to be upset. I don't have a dog in the fight, but, you know, it's going to kind of bum me out a little bit if they cut him, because that's the Woodley I've been wanting to see from his last 3 fights. That Woodley, I don't know, loses those 3 fights. He came out aggressive. He came out letting his hands go. And now he got clipped in the middle of an exchange, but it wasn't, you know, it was because he was trying to finish the fight. That's the Woodley that I wanted to see. He just happened to lose that fight. If that makes sense at all.
Luke, it makes perfect sense. And Luque just said, Jeff, that he said, I noticed that Woodley was overcommitting a little bit on the right. And you see.
Yep, and he slipped in that counter short right hook, or sort of like an uppercut. It's such a weird punch. I don't even know what you call it. It's not a full uppercut. It's not a full hook. It's like an in-between hybrid punch that you see like a lot of people use. It's an effective punch. I mean, it's a very effective punch. You don't see it coming. It comes from an angle that you're not used to. I mean, props to Luque, man. I know that Woodley wanted to win that fight. I felt Woodley looked good. I like the aggression. I like the energy out of Woodley. Luque clipped him, man, and then finished with a Darce choke. Props to Luque. He just clipped him.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to stop you there, man. We're going to the podium. We got Sugar Sean O'Malley, the Sugar Show, in full effect tonight with a dominating performance and a win over Thomas Almeida by finish. Sugar Sean O'Malley, the Sugar Show, back on track from Vegas right here on MMA Weekly.
Right here. Congratulations on the win. Initial thoughts after a pretty insane fight like that?
My shins hurt really bad. Those are my initial thoughts.
Is that just from all the kicks you threw?
Yeah, just all those kicks. My ankle's good, if you guys were wondering. My ankle's good.
Well, I was going to ask, was that kind of shimmy walk you did out of the octagon kind of a nod to all the people saying just kick him in the legs?
That was a big fuck you to a lot of people. I've been getting for 8 months. I've been having to deal with weak ankles, so it felt good.
I got to ask about the head kick in the first round. I think everyone back here, probably including yourself, thought the fight was over. Obviously, the ref let it continue. Thomas showed how tough he was, but what were your thoughts after that whole scene right there?
Yeah, Thomas is tough as nails. I don't know. He cracked me once at the end of the second round. So I'd have to go back and watch that that first knockdown. But yeah, I like that walk off, as you guys know.
Then you're doing a lot of like this look away, head shakes into the knee. You
Yeah.
were kind of like even dancing around. Is that just something you do in camp, or just in the moment right there?
I've been doing that for a long time. I think I did it when I fought on the Contender Series. I've been doing it for a long time. I spin a lot, obviously. I spin pretty fast. You know, spinning to the body, spinning to the head. That's a dangerous shot when you land it. So doing a fake spin, they got to react to it, whether it's high or low, and come back with the two. So it's something I've been throwing for a long time.
And then even watching it, Thomas has this very traditional Muay Thai stance, where he's kind of flat heavy on his right foot. Obviously, you're confident in your skills, but is your style just tailor-made for someone like that is very linear and flat-footed while you dance around in front of him?
Yeah. This matchup excited me. Exactly.
And then finally, how soon do you want to get back in there? And is there any specific name you want to fight when you return?
I want to fight before the end of the year. So I don't know when. I don't know who. I want to get back in the gi. I want to train. I want to get better. And that's my number one priority.
Sean, I know you wanted the walk-off, but are you at least satisfied that it was a very violent knockout anyway?
Yeah, it was still, I think, potentially viral. I think it was still a good knockout. That shot, it was unnecessary. I looked in his eyes. He wasn't there. But, in the first round, after the ref said, hey, if I don't stop it, you gotta keep fighting. So I had to give him one more little juicer to the lips.
Did you think the referee should have stopped it in the first one? I
don't know. I'd have to see it. I'm glad he didn't. I gotta go a whole nother round. The amount of times I rewatch my fights is ridiculous. I'm my number one fan. I think that's why I've improved so much. I'll record every single sparring round I do, and I'll watch it. I'll watch it in slow motion. I'll send sweet clips to my coaches. So the fact that I got to go an extra round and a half or whatever it was, I'm okay with that because I'm gonna go watch it 100 times.
I just want to ask you a question about the way you switch stances. Is there something he does that makes you decide to do that, or do you just like to go back and forth, fluid, the whole fight regardless?
I keep him guessing. How is he supposed to? What is he? He wants to kick my legs. Going into that fight, I knew he wanted to kick my legs. It's hard to kick my legs. I'm switching stances and moving as much as I do. It's just part of my skill set.
And you got quite a compliment from Mr. Teddy Atlas. He said he hasn't seen a fighter like you since Prince Nassim back in the 90s.
I was watching his highlights. Tim and I threw his highlights on before we came over here. I have the last couple fights. Dude, that's just being that loose and having that much fun is what this is all about. So watching guys like him do it is it motivates me, inspires me, and it's funny that he said that because we were literally watching his highlights today.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Sugar, on your left. Congrats on your win. Right
Thank
here.
you.
After your dominant performance tonight, what do you have in mind? Try with Marlon Vera again, or you have another opponent in mind?
I don't have any name, any opponent. UFC they'll message me. They say, hey, just like they did this fight. It's supposed to be in February. They said Thomas in February. I said, sweet, let's do it. So I'm assuming it'll go like that. They'll send me a name, a date, and let's do it. So we'll see.
Sugar Shane.
Don't.
Good to see you.
Sugar Shane. I get that. I'm trying to become famous enough where it's Sugar Sean, but we'll see.
Back over here. Did you see the message yesterday from Snoop Dogg? The schmo ran into him, sent it to Tim. Called you Sugar Shane.
Yeah, I saw that.
Told you to do his thing. What did you think when you saw the message?
What did I think when Snoop? Say that again.
What did you think when you saw the message from Snoop?
Sugar Shane. It just rolls off the tongue. What did he say at the end of that? I forgot. Break him off some. I broke him off some. I was inspired by Snoop. He said, Sugar Shane, got to break him off some. So I had to go break him off something.
Hey, Sean, over here. Correct me if I'm not mistaken. Was this your first fight after becoming a father?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, some people talk about it, they feel that extra motivation, that extra change. Any of that in your system?
I wanted to win before I had a baby. A lot of people say they want to win more or whatever. I wanted to win bad. I've always been competitive. You know, I'm so excited to get home, more excited to get home now to see Danny and Elena. But, you know, before I had a baby, I wanted to win 100%. Now that I have a baby, I want to win 100%. It didn't change in that aspect. It didn't make me train harder. I'm training. I'm doing everything I can to go win a fight. But, you know, fatherhood's been awesome.
Just to talk about your celebration in the cage, you hit the jumper. Was there anything behind that particular celebration, or is it just because you used to play basketball?
After my fight against Eddie, Tim said I should have hit a little jumper right after. So ever since he told me that, I was like, damn it, I should have. And it just kind of happened.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I just went back here. Almeida is definitely durable, but how much fun did you have in there?
This is, I always wanted to be a competitive professional athlete. I thought I was going to play football when I was like 10, 11. I wanted to be in the NFL. You know, found out real fast that wasn't going to happen. Wanted to be in the NBA, found out real fast that wasn't going to happen. So to be able to be a professional athlete and it's fighting, it's so fun. You know, I train really hard to be able to go out there and perform like that. So, you know, it was a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, it's he's entertaining, man. I mean, he's entertaining. There's no question about that.
I forgot the Jake Paul Ben Askren press conference was. You see Ben Askren looking pretty confident. Jake Paul looks a little shook, man. We're going to be doing that one live. I know that, Jeff. It's on the same night as Whitaker and Kelvin Gastelum, but we'll be doing Jake Paul and Ben Askren for sure, man. Frank Mir's on that card. I think I can get us an exclusive interview. In fact, I know I can. I got to get up to Vegas and see Frank Mir. That'll be fun. He's fighting Antonio Tarver on that card. But, hey, Jeff, you know what the most important thing is right now? I love what Sugar Sean said. I don't like that he says, hey, that was a big FU to a lot of people. I mean, I understand you got a chip on your shoulder. I understand you've heard a lot of shit. You don't necessarily. But when you talk a lot of shit, you're going to hear a lot of shit. That's the bottom line. And no one's ever been able to shut Floyd Mayweather up. You know, and for years, you've either wanted Mayweather to keep winning or for someone to shut him up. And that's what you're going to get when you're Sean O'Malley. You're going to get a lot of people who root for you to get punched in the face. You're going to get a lot of people talking crap, but you're going to have a lot of performances like tonight where you end up the winner. And the thing about this kid that I really love, Jeff, is he's a student of the game. He loves watching his own performances and his own fight. That's one thing they told me from a young age in broadcasting. You want to set yourself apart from a lot of the other people out there. Watch your own stuff. Be your own worst critic, because we are all, for the most part, naturally our own worst critics. So the more we watch our own work, the more we're going to find, the more we're going to see. And what I see right now is a mountain of a man. Francis Ngannou's in the octagon, Jeff. Francis Ngannou is in the octagon. It's UFC 260. Stipe and Francis right here on MMA Weekly Live, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD, 3 levels for 3 levels of pain. It works with the anxiety. It works with the sleep. Who the hell cares? No one's going to sleep unless they're getting punched right now. It's Level Select CBD from CBD Emporium, and you're going to get 50% off right now just because you know us, because we love you, because you're our friend, because you come to the chat and you hit the like and you subscribe to the channel. See how this works? We love you, right? Even super chatters, you get even more. MMA50 is the code. At StayInTheFightMMA.com, you get 50% off Level Select CBD from CBD Emporium. Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight. And everyone's talking about how Francis needs to stay in the fight. I love how, if you watch a lot of the shows where you're supposed to be getting all this great analysis, hey, the longer it goes, the better a chance Stipe has to not get knocked out by a big shot from Francis. Well, thanks for that multi-million-dollar analysis. Appreciate that. Now that I know that, I can get on with the rest of my life. But what's going to happen in the other 24 minutes and 59 seconds of the fight? I mean, it's so easy to sit here and say, Stipe has to avoid the knockout shot, and Francis's cardio has to be better, and his takedown this, and the bottom line is these are two of the baddest men on the planet. It's the greatest heavyweight champ of all time. Strategies, every single time there's another fight, and look, the DC was a trilogy, right? Every time there's another fight in a rivalry, Jeff, you've learned everything you can learn going into that first fight. You've made the adjustments in fight. You get a second camp to prepare for that guy. You've been watching every fight. And if you're Francis Ngannou, you could not wait to get back in here with Stipe. He has waited a long time for this rematch. There's no guy who thought it would take this long. No one. It has taken a long time. We're talking about 2018 in Boston. That's a long time.
A lot of things went on. In that division. In the chat, man, this is your last chance to get your pick in. So if you want bragging rights tomorrow for picking this fight right, you better throw it up now. If you haven't given your
get it in and screenshot it.
This is
Joe Sria's got a good point, though. I want to say real quick, Jeff, about Sugar Sean. Joe Sria Roguez says, I like that O'Malley respects his opponent. And now we got Miocic winning. Let's go. Sorry, Jeff. I'm trying to get them all fired up in the chat room. Into the octagon walks Stipe, the greatest champ of all time. And he looks lean and mean. Look at these lean Stipe. Lean. Miocic 2.5.
Yeah, we're gonna see what this does, like in the clinch, if it's a detriment or if it even translates to less strength. Being a little leaner doesn't necessarily mean you're weaker.
And unassuming, no, not at all. And he's so unassuming and so humble and funny. He says he didn't lose the weight on purpose. It just happened as he was getting ready to fight DC in that trilogy fight. You go, no, I didn't lose the weight on purpose. It just came off and it felt good. So we went with it. And isn't that funny how sometimes things just happen that way? In an era and an age where everything is down to the last whatever, picograms. I don't want to use an illegal term, but you know what I'm saying? Everything's down to every strictest possible measurement on planet Earth. And he goes, no, I didn't lose it on purpose, but it just felt good, so I kept it off.
It could just be that. Yeah, it could just be a diet change that he didn't really pay much attention to. He cut something out that he doesn't even realize he cut out, and it's translated into leaner. Or he could just be working more cardio. Who knows, man? He looks good. Francis looks good, man. This is a crazy. The big boys, man. Jeff. The big boys. Everybody's at the edge of their seat, and this thing's getting ready to happen. But yeah, so getting back to Sugar Sean, since that's what he wants to be called. Man. Look, the reason why I like mixed martial arts so much and what drew me to it was the respect all the competitors have. You go to war with a guy, and everybody in this sport trains hard. There's just variables, man. You can train as hard as hell. I can train as hard as I want to. I'm not going to get to this level, and so everybody respects everybody's work that they put in. But there's levels to this shit, as we say. And, but Sean Sugar wants to get to the highest level, and props to him for that, man. And like you said, he's his own worst critic. So we'll see. But my God, Herb Dean's the referee in this, and they're about to, Bruce Buffer's about to announce these boys.
Man. Yeah, oh my God, here we go. Stipe and Ngannou too, and I think Stipe is going to win this fight a lot easier than he won the first one. I've gone on record saying it. I think he's going to finish it. I think he's going to win it, and I love how people are saying, hey, if Stipe wins this, he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. Well, he's already the greatest heavyweight of all time. If he wins this, he just cements that more, and you can only beat the people that you put in front of yourself. And I understand that they put in front of you, and I understand that I use the same argument against Khabib in the GOAT category, in the argument there, and I think there's legitimacy to that. But as far as heavyweights go, you're never going to see a heavyweight drop down. You know what I mean? So you're not going to see a heavyweight that's a two-division champ unless they're coming up.
Yeah, well, Randy Couture did that. He was a heavyweight champion and dropped down.
That. Yeah, you're right.
But that's it.
He did.
And that was in a different era. I was at that fight where he knocked out Tim Sylvia and just shut that place up, man. That place went silent. Randy Couture, Mr. Natural. But that is it, man. You're right. People don't drop down. Stipe, though, but I don't know what he weighed in at this, but Stipe's never been a big heavyweight. That's what makes it so impressive.
God,
he's able to do
huge, man.
God, man, he's
huge, and he's built like
individual.
Yeah, he's built like a featherweight through welterweight. He's built like a 25 to 70 pounder who just never got the memo to stop eating. He worked in field. He tried to leave his country, I think 17 times to sneak out and go to Europe, got captured and returned to the Sahara 7 times. If you watch him on Joe Rogan's podcast, you'll cry. What an unbelievable story. Everything about never quitting, never giving up, having that dream. This is the one guy. Very rarely you come across someone in life, the one guy who made it in the face of almost undeniable odds. Of all the people I've met and interviewed in my life, in my career, and I've been very lucky. I mean, I've interviewed Michael and Kobe and LeBron. I've interviewed every sport. I've been very lucky. Francis Ngannou is one of the few that always stood out to me. So humble, so gracious. The things that he's seen and had to live through in his lifetime. Good Lord, man. I mean, good Lord. Hey, Jeff, you got some love. Creative Asylum JH says, I was at the Couture versus Tim Sylvia fight, and the crowd was going nuts. Yep, and he shut that place right up.
Well,
Wow,
they
Francis
went nuts
is way
afterwards.
bigger,
I'm
though.
saying
Way
when Tim Sylvia dropped, that place went silent for a second and then exploded. So yeah, I mean the roof went off the place, but like he shut everybody up for a second. Everyone's like, "Oh shit, Randy just dropped Tim."
Oh,
all right, we're about to.
Speaking of shit, Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, I'm loving it. I'm loving it right now. I'm turning sideways. You guys aren't going to see me. Oh no, you can see me. I can't like leave the camera shot there. But this is
about to
exciting,
start,
man. This is what we live for. This is heavyweight.
We're gonna see
destruction right here.
Yeah, we're gonna see if
Francis,
Stipe was
of course,
able
looking for the kill shot.
If Francis was able to make adjustments from the first fight. You know, he's got to maintain his distance further, not let Stipe get
He's
in
not
for
rushing
those
him.
takedowns. Nope.
He's not rushing him like he did in the first fight, like he does in most fights. But he's been very patient. Even though he's got a lot of early finishes, Francis has been very patient in his fights. And everyone's like, well, he's got these early finishes, but he waits for his opportunity, and then he'll just come out of nowhere and throw like 5 punches in a row. And that's what he did against Rosenstruik.
Mm-hmm. And Stipe is,
and then he's just
it looks
throwing
like
these
he's
giant sledgehammer clubs.
Yeah, it looks like Stipe's taking his time in the early here, probably going to wanting to counter strike, and Francis isn't giving him a lot to counter.
Francis is changing levels and looking lower. He's been in the knees a lot more early in this fight.
Yeah, Francis is, he's definitely going to make some changes. We're going to see how this goes. Stipe, the biggest thing for Stipe is you can't enter into a slugfest with Francis. So that's the biggest thing.
But Stipe's great at that style of fight too, and he just took a big shot from Francis, and it didn't look like he phased him much. But Andre Rohn says Cormier got his belt at light heavy, then heavy, not heavy to light. Yeah, but he was a heavyweight. He just knew Cain was better, and Cain was his friend. But he knew Cain was better, and he wasn't going to beat him. DC's admitted that.
Well, I don't know if I agree with DC.
There goes Stipe with another take. Stipe's first takedown attempt. Uh-oh. He didn't get it. Francis swinging around trying to take the back. Oh,
yeah, Cormier was a heavyweight in Strikeforce. You know, he was a heavyweight in Strikeforce, and he won the heavyweight tournament over there, and then he came.
Stipe might be in trouble. Stipe took a lot of shots, Jeff. Are you watching? Are you behind me still?
Yeah, but I am, but it's all right. It's all right. Stipe's in a hell of a lot of trouble. Oh, those are big shots. Those are big shots.
You must be way behind me. I'm at 245. You must be way behind me.
Yeah, well, I'm at 255, so I'm 10 seconds. But now they're separated.
Wow, we should have had you fast forward to the end of the. Stipe went for a takedown, didn't get it. For those of you who can't see it at all, went for a takedown, didn't get it. Francis sprawled, landed on Stipe's back, swung around, and was able to connect with some shots from behind. And that's the most punishment we've seen Stipe tape. Stipe looks okay though. He looks all right.
Oh, that was a head kick that partially landed because Stipe's hair went boom. Francis is definitely he's mixing it up better than he did in the first fight. That's for sure already.
He's showing him some new looks. His takedown defense looked pretty good there. We're under 2 minutes left in round one, but he did hit. He's being very measured with his punches here, Francis. He looks really good, and obviously he's the number one contender in the world.
Yeah, I mean, he went for a knockout in the first fight and was eating counter right hands, and he's not doing that this time. So he's made that a change. It's a jab. He's kind of getting his distance, and then Yeah, he's being a much more methodical this time around.
Yeah, he's not even throwing for Stipe to counter off of.
Yeah.
There was a big right from Ngannou, nowhere close. But Stipe's definitely not. You can see it in their face when a fighter surprises another fighter early on in a fight. I think Stipe got surprised a little bit here.
Yeah, wow. I mean, he took some shots. I mean, there's no question when he was getting up to his feet. I think Stipe's just trying to figure out what he's going to do here. Francis isn't giving him much to work with.
No, and Francis is looking to counter Stipe's right leg kick with a right hand. So when Stipe comes in with a right foot kick, Francis is coming right at him with a right hand.
Man,
that's
Francis
different from the first fight.
Counter strike. Yeah, Francis is looking to counter, and that's switching it up, man. I mean, like you mentioned before this, Francis tried to escape his situation multiple times. Do you think he tried the same thing twice? No. This is not a guy who's not going to try something different this time, man. Props to him for making the changes. So far, he has. Early in this fight, though.
Keeping those knees bent. That's one thing I noticed big time early on is keeping that level lower from the jump. And the chat numbers are going through the roof. We love you guys. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. MMA Weekly Live, UFC 260, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. I'm Jim Grieshaber. That's my man, Jeff Cain. We got the GOAT, Stipe Miocic, in the octagon right now against Francis Ngannou, the Predator. And that is the end of round number 1. I don't know why Stipe is shaking his head. I don't know what happened there. But he did get shook.
Yeah, that round didn't go well for him.
He didn't look like he really got hurt, though.
No, but I think that, he took some shots, and I think he realized, wow, Francis sprawled, stuffed my first takedown, and he made me pay a little bit on the way back up. That's different. I think that Stipe's going to have to just switch something up here. He's going to have to change game plans a little bit. Maybe he is going to have to kind of take the fight to Francis, because Francis isn't giving Stipe much to work with as far as countering opportunities.
Yeah, and Francis is very smart dude. He's been through a lot to get where he is. I mean, he's beaten some big time fighters. He did kick Stipe with his left foot across the jaw. Stipe did take more damage in that round than he's taken in almost any round in his career.
Yeah, he has. My screen froze up, man, but that's all right. You can call it as I work on refreshing that stream back.
Man, crazy, Jeff. Here we are, man. I mean, I can't. It's hard to do a show when the heavyweights are fighting because, like, it takes the breath out of your body, and it's hard to talk because you're just, man. There's just something about the big dudes in there, the heavyweights. Stipe just hit him with a nice left. I think that that Ngannou won the first round 10-9. And he looks very fresh here in round number 2.
Yeah, I had Ngannou win in the first round 10-9. Stipe just didn't do a lot. Now, I think Francis didn't really hurt him, but he definitely won the round.
Stipe's coaches told him he needs to be more explosive, and he just ate a big shot. Oh, Stipe's in trouble. Uh-oh. Francis better be careful not to punch himself out. Oh, there it is. Wow. Francis Ngannou is the new heavyweight champion of the world.
There you go.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I said, man, when we made that, like I said, man, we said at the top of the show, you just got to. He's a scary dude, man. He's a scary dude. It doesn't take much. I felt like he had Stipe's number from
Stipe can stand up.
The moment that he stuffed that first takedown, it looked like he knew. It looked like he knew. He was so calm. And then look on Stipe's face at the end of round 1 wasn't one of confidence. He
didn't look like he felt like he was going to win this fight. He took a big left. You're seeing the finishing sequence here. He took a big left straight down the middle, and he went to get up from that. And then Ngannou just kept wailing away at him. And then, those big hooks start coming from Francis. Right hooked Stipe's legs with the left and got him on the ground. But, I think Stipe definitely... Man, this was a good fight. This is a really good fight. A lot of great exchanges. Francis just a lot better. I mean, the takedown defense in round 1 stunned him. Oh, Stipe kind of rushed him, though, here in 2. He rushed him in round 2. I mean, look, everyone's going to say this is what it should have been. Francis was much better this time around. I mean, look, these are the biggest and baddest dudes on the planet, man. And Francis Ngannou is Francis Ngannou, man. New heavyweight champ.
Yeah, Francis was definitely better tonight. I mean, definitely better tonight.
And Herb Dean. Herb Dean with Pete Rose to save him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Francis was definitely the better fighter of the night. He made big adjustments. You know, his takedown defense, he stuffed that first takedown. He hit him with shots on the way up, but then backed away, didn't force the issue. And then just waited. You know, he gave Stipe in the first fight opportunities to counter. He did not give him that this time, and it looked like Stipe was a little at a loss what the hell he was going to do. And then, like you said, he rushed in.
Yeah, I mean, that's the greatest heavyweight champ of all time. And what a story. You start about the story when we follow these athletes. I mean, for Francis Ngannou to come from the streets, to come from Africa and be homeless in Europe, and to want to be homeless in Europe to give himself a better opportunity out of life. I mean, just an unbelievable, a great story. And for Stipe, man, I mean, look, you win and you lose. He's been the greatest of all time, and he just didn't look like himself out there tonight. He really didn't. He did not look like himself at all.
Yeah, Stipe or Francis can do that to you. Like I said, I felt like everything was fine until he stuffed that takedown. Like Stipe looked fine, and then when he got that takedown stuffed and he ate some shots, whenever they separated, the expression on Stipe's face was not one of confidence. It was kind of almost bewilderment. It was kind of like, oh shit. And then I think what happened in the second round is Stipe decided to force something, and then it paid the price for it. He kind of did what Verdum did against him. He kind of did what Verdum did against him. He rushed it. He tried to force something, and he paid the price.
Yeah, and I love Francis Ngannou. I mean, of all the guys I've met and the people I've talked to in my career, he's at the top of the list in terms of a human, of a person, the story. I mean, just what he's done to get there. You know, I mean, you look at the people he's knocked out and beaten early in fights, and obviously Derek Lewis is a guy who's going to be happy now because Lewis has a win over Ngannou, and they haven't had a rematch. So there's something. But, you know, I mean, look, the first thing anyone's going to think, Jeff, is there goes the John Jones-Stipe fight. I don't think Dana's ever once had that thought. I think Dana just realizes he has the biggest killer on the planet as his heavyweight champion now. He's wanted this for a couple of years, and that's what matters to him more than anything. And John Jones coming up. Ooh, John Jones coming up. There's going to be some chin music heading his way. I want to see if, as a matter of fact, I got to see if Jones just tweeted. They haven't put anything up yet.
Look,
that was crazy.
John Jones and Ngannou is a huge fight. I don't think we lost anything tonight. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how John deals with those heavyweights, man. I mean, I thought Stipe was a bad matchup for him. I felt like Ngannou was the better matchup for John Jones. We'll see, man. Ngannou was different tonight. That was a methodical Francis, and that's a very dangerous Francis, man. If Francis is going to fight that way, that calm, that reserved, and that patient, whoo, man, the heavyweight division, he might have that belt for a minute.
I mean, based on what you've seen from Francis in his career, and you know everything there is to know about John Jones. I mean, that if you're Jones now coming up, I mean, that's the fight that Jones. Man, you see, this is the thing to me. I didn't want to see the UFC lose the Stipe versus Jones fight. I didn't want to see them lose that, but they did. They did. For now, they did.
Well, they've got a big fight. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what Stipe wants to do after this. He's accomplished everything he wants to accomplish. And then John Jones, though, that's a big test. A big test. I mean, John Jones is not used to getting hit by people like Francis Ngannou, and I don't care who he trains with. He's just not. And so that's the big questions heading into that fight. Oh, I hear some music. I'm getting pulled from the podium.
Yeah, we're experimenting with some things here, like doing commentary, not doing commentary, but we're going to run a separate stream for the press conference. Not sure how that's going to look on our numbers or their number, whatever, but we're all a team. It's MMA Weekly, the post-fight press conference right here on YouTube. Make sure you stick around, and you will hear from the new champ, Francis Ngannou, Dana White, and a lot more coming your way. Thank you for watching. Jim Grieshaber, Jeff Cain, UFC 260 live on MMA Weekly, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. And Jeff, we have a little bit of time before I guess we don't. We're out of here. We'll talk to you guys soon.